No, it's not. You do this level of behavior so you can antagonize somebody and make them leave the room so you don't have to worry about the paperwork that goes with it. You don't have to address it later. But if you did have to deal with the paperwork, it is the case that you will filibuster it in front of people and you will actively walk away from it. My eye is watering. No, it's not. We can picking at it. No, I'm not picking at it. Again, exactly. Elemental Hilak. Did I see the DevCourt slander video that Icarus made? No, link it. Tagged to me inside of Symposium. Haven't seen it. I have been handling a very large quagmire of some foot-to-ass surgery that I'm going to be doing directly to some snarkers that exist inside of Wick's audience. It's gonna be funny. Assuming that Wick actually chooses to address it. which is what I was just talking about inside of Symposium. Whoa, 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 pretty, pretty, pretty reggae. Whoa, whoa, pretty, pretty, pretty reggae. Whoa, 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 pretty, pretty, pretty reggae. Whoa, whoa, pretty, pretty, pretty reggae. Whoa, 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 pretty, pretty, pretty reggae. Pretty, pretty, pretty reggae. Whoa, 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 pretty, pretty, pretty reggae. Whoa, whoa, pretty, pretty, pretty reggae. Whoa, whoa. That's all that done. Everything's the same. You have sent me the video. This should serve as a great way to start everything. I don't know about to see the bullshit. Let's find out. Based! Based! No. There's a different clip for what that should look like for Panorama. No. There's a different clip. You need a certain clip. I don't remember what the meme is, but you need a different clip. You need a different clip. You need a different clip for Panorama. No. This is not lethal enough. No. This is not lethal enough. This is not lethal enough. No. It's not lethal enough. The things that Panorama does, and the things that Panorama says, and the things that Panorama argues for, and the energy and the way that he chooses to do it, it is much more theocratic as somebody who sits inside of a symposium who has no art world experience trying to tell other people, listen bro, it's literally like this, it's literally like that, it's literally like that. But whatever. Biggest true. So big true. So true, King. That's so true. That's so true, King. King, that's so true. Is it bad that some of these names I don't even fucking recognize? That feels so horrible of me. That there are some names here that I don't even recognize that are inside of Discord that I can see in the channels where they're talking. It's just that they never enter into voice chats. So, unless I go to them inside the text chats, it is the case that I never see them. This is a consequence of basically putting my energy into Symposium and nowhere else. It's a problem. It starts with me. It starts with me. It starts with me. True. So true. I know you didn't. Well, actually, no, I don't know that you didn't make it in the video. That's actually unfortunate. You should probably have been like the third clip or something. I don't know. But no, this right here is so true. So true. You jump too far. I have to play through it normally. It jumps too far forward. That's so true. So fucking true. You should have used one of the Wesley memes. Hey, Chris, you should have used one of the Wesley memes. We're fucking pumping. True. So true. Also true. Also true. My track record so clean, they couldn't wait to just bash me. I must be getting too flashy. Y'all shouldn't have let the world gas me. True. So true. It's the biggest true. It's probably the biggest true, if not starting off with me. No. Biggest true. This can apply to a Festivia too now. It's too late because I'm here to stay and these girls know that I'm nasty. I sent it back to her boyfriend with my handprint on her ass cheek. City talking, we taking notes. Tell him all to keep making posts. Wish he could, but he can't get close. OG so proud of me that he choking up while he making toast. I'm the type that you can't control. Said I would, that I made it so. I don't. This is such a big what to me. Skilled Coordinator invading Horsfield's general to exclusively hate and call people freaks. So you go into places that have things, that explicitly post things you don't like, to annoy them? Yeah, that sounds like some retarded devcore bullshit. Clear up rumors. Where's y'all sense of humor? I'm done making jokes. True. There is so much energy that Lope has put into the server, especially before and after he became the lead mod. And, well, one of the lead mods. One of the trusted mods that have replaced Butters. And the effort in which he chose to put into creating the democracy and creating the Twitter community group so that people can speak amongst Dev's audience. The same way that Lonerbox has his Lonerbox Mujahideen amongst people with people like his editor, Stardust, and other people like that. There's so much work that Lope has put into the server that I'm happy that he chose to put that effort into it because it satisfies him, ingratiates him with the level of energy that should be expected of a moderator. It's actually pretty funny and actually very important to the thing that I experienced last night. But because the people that are doing it are and have demonstrated themselves to be the kind of individuals who try to mine for evidence and information so they can see if they can antagonize someone, I can't go into depth about what I did and what I documented. But it is the kind of effort that is emblematic of what a healthy community actually should have in terms of what a moderator's interest should be. And while I'm typing this, let me just use my open window to just explain reviewing Icarus's content. Am I retarded? Is that not Icarus's tag and handle? That's not Icarus. That's not Icarus. That's not Icarus. That's not Icarus. There we go. Is Icarus not inside of that room? No, he's not. Okay. I can just tag him. Inside of General, I guess. This link, and then this link. Boop. There we go. So, continuing with thought. The behavior that Alope has demonstrated in all the energy that he's chosen to put into what he's focused his energy onto, the things he's chosen to put his time into, the things he's chosen to do his things on, the things that he's chosen to invest into, the things that he's cultivated and allowed to create the space of, is emblematic of the kind of behavior that I would expect of a moderator who actually wants his community to be successful and to thrive within the realms and bounds of what a creator should want to have happen, and what a moderator should want to have happen, and what a community member should want to have happen. And while I'm also saying that, after I've now linked it inside of general chat for them to come see, should they give a fuck to actually watch my content, this from Icarus is the same level of shitposts that we do inside of my audience when it comes to me and when it comes to things that I do. This is exactly emblematic of what should happen when you have a person who actually puts in the interest of knowing the people who actually engage and cross over and are energetic to the shit that they're doing and the other places that it matters in. This is what you do when you want people to actually engage in material. If you don't do these things, you're not actually making it possible for that shit to happen. And thus it's beatings, 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 beatings continuing and beatings happening until morale continues to improve. And it doesn't require you to snark, it doesn't require you to antagonize, it doesn't require you to selectively and solipsistically pick who deserves what and who deserves why and how are you and blah 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 blah. But it's just as simple as, I am of the people, I am of the space, I am of this world. This is what happens in the borders of our home, our house, in the middle of the street, our house, where devil wake off on his meat, our house. You know what I'm talking about? Very easy. It doesn't pull teeth. It doesn't have to victimize anybody in order to make it happen. It's just as simple as, bro, I like having fun.
Cause they got old like baby boomers. Turn my haters to consumers. I make vets feel like they juniors. Say your time is coming soon, but just like Oklahoma.
I'm out.
Mine is coming sooner. I'm just a late bloomer. I didn't peak in high school, I'm still out here getting cuter. All these social networks and computers got these pussies walking around like they ain't losers. I told you long ago on the road. I got what they waiting for.
True! 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 One of the biggest truths! One of the biggest truths! Also true. I'm out. Self-glaze, boo! Self-glaze, boo! Well, that's pretty good. It's pretty good, it's pretty accurate. would say it's like, in terms of the shitposts in which anybody's actually made any from DevCord, it's probably top tier because it's the only one that I've seen existed. That goes without saying. That goes without saying. Alright. Away from that sidebar. I might as well start cleaning out my TikToks, and I might as well start doing them publicly. But I need to start posting more of my short form. I've been stockpiling short form videos, dumb little things, and other stuff, but I haven't posted them, and I need to start posting them again. Because it's just so much effort and work. It's just so much effort and work that I've been putting into shit. There's so much fucking effort and work that I've been putting into so many other things that I have to have my time at this point. Because now is the part where I'm doing the more physical side of my job. And while I'm happy that my mother is now home and that she's safe, I am very fucking annoyed with how the medical system treated her and took care of her out of my care. I brought her to a hospital to be taken care of, and they returned her to me, effectively a cripple. And there's no reason why that happened. There's no justification for why it happened. And I'm gonna put my foot in as many John Donne hindquarters as fucking possible until I get an answer as to why that happened. I want to know why. I want to know why. I want someone to explain to me why. Alas, let's start a super chat before I get all carried away and forget to, because of them, my medical shit is tight now. And I'm going to be between paychecks, because that took, like I said, 18 days. Which means that it was not paid for the last concurrent pay period. That's going to make things hard, real fast. Gotta get on top of things. Fortunately, I have the time where I can actually discombobulate all the shit that I'm dealing with. So, that gives me the space in which to do it. Alright. So, how do I want to do this? I think I'm going to do it like this. I did not want to click that. I'm going to do it like this. Let's go Frogan, drinker finales, wrap up of the boys, early patch notes, and my TikToks. And then whatever else comes up on the docket before I get to planning out everything else. I'll leave that for when there's a little bit more people in the chat room. Let me get this, and let's go.
There is a good ending after all.
Frogan has eaten her legal fund. We're going to get into it today.
She
on
ate
Legal
the
Mindset.
whole thing?
We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew.
Oh my
Esquire,
God.
American attorney.
How?
So for those that have been following this case, we obviously have our defendant Frogan here, who is embroiled in a lawsuit over copyright infringement for the Hassan Piker content nuke. Now, also in that lawsuit were Casey Tron and Denims, but of course Casey Tron, as we saw, stepped out.
As to the GoFundMe money, to the extent there are any remaining...
Absolute blowout. Total domination.
The fact of the matter is that we all saw that this was going to come. Every single person around the sphere, everybody knew that the Snarkers were not going to win. Everybody knows. There's no world where they could have won. Because the precedent that has been set forward by how they choose to behave, in the places they choose to do what they do, and the way that they document the things that they do, and the way that they act on the things that they do, and how they do them, is that they have made it very clear that they think that they are above law. They think that they're above law. They think that snarking about someone is going to prevent them from being antagonized. They think that antagonizing other people is going to be a great way for them to get away from a bunch of fucking concert and problems, and that ultimately they can be able to behave however they want, they can talk however they want, they can act however they want, and as long as they do those things in a particular way, it is what the fuck ever. So, the attitude at this point, especially from the Hassani snarkers, should be that you aren't going to milk the lawsuit. You're not getting away with it. None of you are getting out clean or safe. Denims isn't going to get more money from it. Frogan has defaulted at this point. And Casey Tron trying to save face, but continuing to behave antagonistically. It's very clear that everything is going doo-doo dog shit for them. The default just solidifies that now 2 out of 3 people have been knocked out of the lawsuit run, and the only person left in now that has the ability to argue for anything is Denims. So, Frogan has bowed out at this point by losing, and she's going to have to pay. The struggle session of Casey Tron means that she's paying the social cost because it has tarnished her. Hello. Icarus. It was a really good edit. I enjoyed it, especially the part that involved me. Ha 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 ha. But Frogan defaults. Casey Tron gets tarred and feathered and forced to walk around and cluck like a fucking duck. And now Denims is going to have to sell more porn of herself in order to get people to want to click on her channel to listen to her and her takes. So all of these things collectively together directly affect the ability for the Snarkers to be able to win. Because this is an optics war. Their entire optic is, I am antagonizing these people, and these people are bad and wrong, and you should believe us. We didn't do anything wrong, we're going to fight what we're doing. Just like how Noah Samson is going to do the same thing on his lawsuit, it shouldn't work. Because any person who's a goddamn human with 2 brain cells to rub together can look at the material and see Noah Samson did the dumb shit that he was doing. All of that fucking... Actually, Jack just put it together a good way based on how I was about to describe it. Doing all of that, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm legally not touching you, level of shit is asking for you to get sued again. And I would sue them again. Because that's the only way that you deal with snarkers at this level. Any kind of snarker community, any kind of snarker outreach, any kind of snarker platforming, the only way to fucking deal with them is to call them out for what they're doing and put them in the hot seat and make them actually advocate for the things that they're advocating for and defend the things that they're defending. And what you're going to notice every time that it happens, especially if you happen to have been there in the audience, especially inside of Wick's audience, when he learned live on air that he's getting antagonized and he's gotten his OPSEC broken and he's been doxxed because of snarkers in the forever holy war between J-Stalk and Destiny and all of the communities that create content off of antagonizing him and co-streaming his content and filibustering his content to an audience of people on Kick, the way that they've designed for themselves to do so. If you were there in that chat room, and it's at least still up as a broadcast, so you can go watch that part for yourself. It is the case that if you go there and you look at the material and you watch that content, that every single bit of the Snarker worldview is basically, I'm going to infinitely sweep for these people because I want to maintain connections that gives me the ability to have content and to do things and maintain access and give myself ways to go into these different communities and these different audiences and make a name for myself while talking to these creators and not talking to any of the people inside. That is the kind of shit we're talking about. We're talking about things like the Birdman. We're talking about things like what we covered last week, or technically this week. This week. Time is mixing together for me, chat. That we covered with Kinoflex on the broadcast. Yes, it was technically this week, because I consider the beginning of every week Sunday. That's right. That we covered this week with KinoFlex on the broadcast on episode 48, where I went through and I showed you the shit happening around Audrey Noah and Anthony Gramuglia and how that all tied back to the Birdman. We discussed it there, and it's the same shit. Just like how suddenly, in the event involving KinoFlex with Dickers, who was one of the people who was necessary for that drama to come to the head that it did, you now have Dickers inside of an audience full of people who are leftist snarkers that are involved in the doxing server. He was involved, he was in the server, he saw the material, or he engaged with the material in some way. So did Aiden, not Aiden Paladin, different Aiden, white boy Aiden. Spell exactly the way you expect it to sound. Aidaen. You saw both of them, or will see both of them, assuming where you're seeing the content from. You saw both of them effectively try to cover up for and excuse behavior without being shown any examples of what it is that they're trying to sweep for and excuse. And the reason why they do that is because they are trying to filibuster and sweep for the behavior before they see it happen. So they can say, actually, there's a reason why it happened. It's because. And it's just not helpful. It's not helpful in any serious format. Because it is the intention, for example, that if Anthony Gramuglia chooses to platform you, and he then antagonizes somebody and slanders somebody, like he attempted to do through the argument against KinoFlex, and others like him that were talking, and were just participating in these broadcasts, and it was the energy of the Birdman 15, associating people like Audrey Noah, that these individuals are building networks of connections where they become like, as we used to call them, the Nebula niggas, but as we should properly call them because of Professor Layton, Fakes Layton, the Nebula elite. Amongst those that are the socialists and the commies that are in entertainment, amongst the video essayists that are basically making the exact same level of content inside of a Hugbox platform designed for them and only them because they only ever let in people who are like them, and they think any person that's not like them is a shitheel. In those groups, they are creating the connections that let them create the snarker worldview. They are creating the systems in the web of conversations that let them target who they want to target. And the reason why they're doing what they're doing is just because they are all aggressively justifying that they can say and do whatever the fuck they want. And they don't have to take any accountability whatsoever when it happens. Because as long as they're able to push the blame off on somebody else, put the accountability off on somebody else, and keep being a person who can say, it's not my problem, it's not my issue, it's not my fault, it's somebody else's, and they just construct a network that becomes struggle sessions with extra steps, or with extra steps and little fucking crunch crinkles over the yogurt cup, like a fucking yolk play split. As long as they're able to stay in a nebulous gray area where you can't identify what it is they're doing, they will justify everything under the sun and more. They'll justify doxing, they'll justify harassment, they'll justify cyberstalking, they'll justify swatting, they'll justify antagonism, and they'll say, it's just bants. It's just bants, bro. It's all just bants. But it's not bants. It's the systematic destruction of the fabric that holds a community together and holds a user base together. Because people like using that word community, but they're not a community. They are a network. They are a whisper network. They are a whisper network full of people that design shit purposefully so they can do whatever the fuck they decide is viable. Because for the snarkers, this is about making money. That's why Ethan Klein sued them. That's why Frogan got sued. That's why Denims got sued. That's why they would have sued that fucking Sean the Black guy, but he bitched out. It's why they should sue Mike from PA under his Central Committee account. It's why he chooses to antagonize people like Hutch. It's why there's a connection and an entire log list full of all these people that they're targeting that are amongst what they would call the liberal speaker space. All of those things and more. It's the systematic defranchisation of any person that can speak. That is what it is. It is the systemic destruction of any foothold, any argument, any presentation, any association, any co-op, any crossover, any collaborative effect, and any investment whatsoever into a group to decide who gets to be a have and who gets to be a have not. And for the Starkers, they're willing to leverage money about it. Because you filibuster someone's content, and you siphon someone's content, and you make money about it, and then you could design an entire contraption where you get to harass a creator and then make money off you harassing the creator. That's that shit that gets us targeted by YouTube. That's that shit that gets us targeted by Twitch. If Twitch was fair, and they're not, they're left-leaning, and they always protect their own, but in the interest that they have to protect their interests in the sweet position, the way they protect Hassan Piker, it is the shit that gets you targeted. Bottom lines. Bottom lines. There is no undercutting this with, oh, that's just how you... No, that's how it is. That's the reality of it. If I systemically took one of you and I ostracized you, I justified ostracizing you, I validated ostracizing you, I made it a community effort and a group sport to ostracize you. The way that I've said, even though I don't like when Lemon Duck does what he does and he acts the way that he acts, while I'm screaming big true on the content, when someone does to Lemon Duck what I said I don't want to do to him, and they do that as carte blanche to creators across entire fucking political lines, apolitical lines, investment lines, interactive lines, community co-op groups, fucking investment into super PACs, and streamer infrastructure that's designed to uplift and enrich new people in a space. When I systemically break down every attempt you have to confront, ameliorate, and deal with the people who are fucking with you, and it's the case that I've made it so that you have no ability in which to have recourse, we're just gonna keep harassing you until you give up or you kill yourself. Or, worse, you give up, you end your career, you go persona non grata, you leave the internet because you can't fucking make it, because I've systemically destroyed every avenue for you to obtain success, to go about making success, to make a name for yourself, and I'm lying on your name constantly, doing any and everything in my power to do so. When you systemically do that as a system of creative effort, when you construct that kind of thing, the only thing that can be done is you have to destroy it. That's the only way to correct it. Someone that is above the people who are doing that behavior have to dismantle it. If it's users, ban the users. Ban every single user who justified it. If it's a moderator, ban the moderator. Demod the moderator. Demod every single moderator that was in the room when it happened, as it happened, and question every single one of them and say, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you say anything? And address the fucking problem, bring it up on air, stick their fucking nose in it like a dog, and make them fucking smell and eat that shit. That is the only correct choice. That is the only correct action. That is the only correct energy that you should ever give to that action. Because if you do not do that, you get Vosh. When you don't do that, you get Shark03. When you don't do that, you get Snarkers. When you don't do that, you get Cry Bullies. When you don't do that, you get Socialite Bullies. You get people like Pirate Software. You get people like... Yeah, breathe. You get people like Hassan Piker. You get people like Denims. You get people like Frogan. You get people like Casey Tron. You get cockroaches that are skittering out of fucking view of the limelight because sunlight's disinfectant and they hide in the darkness. You have to drag them kicking and screaming to answer for the crimes. Because it's the case that if you don't, then they're never going to put the gun in their mouth. Because they're going to keep doing it. Because it makes the money. At the bottom line, if for nothing else, these people weaponize and they make money off of it. They build communities around it. It becomes a pastime. And when it becomes a pastime to basically break the rules, social rules, unspoken words and rules between YouTubers, breaking the rules of the platform, weaponizing services and tools that are designed to deal with actual spam that's instead being used to antagonize a content creator, content troll a content creator, license troll a content creator, and start stacking fucking boulders, just like Jeremy, just like fucking Matt Jarbo. You get to a world where there is no other response other than a fucking foot in your John Bryan Allen quarter. I gotta put my foot up your ass. They gotta put the foot up the ass. And they have to put the foot down. And put the hammer down. Because if you let it happen, you can get people, as we clearly saw in my audience, as we've clearly experienced in Dev's audience, and as we're going to see in a couple of other people who we cross over with and who we've been doing content with, that is exactly how those audiences behave. That is exactly how those people will behave. They will create a counterculture inside your culture, and they will slowly subvert you until you are either ostracized or they get you to kill yourself. That is the goal. That is the goal of all those people, and we all know it. We all know that's what it's designed for. If you want to see less Alex Walkers, that's how you deal with them. You want to be able to depower people like Anita Sarkeesian and Chelsea Van Valkenburg? That's how you deal with them. You stick their fucking nose in it, and you mock them incessantly. And you make sure that they know they don't have any power to control shit like fucking Redditors that they are. Because, of course, these people will talk shit when they believe they have power as Jannies, and when they believe they have power as power users. But when you take away that entitlement, and it is an entitlement, when you take away that entitlement, that they don't actually get to do whatever the fuck they want, that time and money does not preclude them from fucking around and finding out, then they're going to stop doing this shit. Or actually, rather, what will happen is they will leave the place that they have been pushed away from doing it, and they will try to do it somewhere else in quiet. Which is what happened with the stalking server. So you have to drag them into the limelight, make them sit next to the tweets and be like, is this you? Is this you? Is this you? Is this you? And they clear for everybody across the pond and every aisle that it matters in that this is the person you're dealing with. And make them persona non grata in those places where they thought they had power. Take the power away from them. Show them that they have no control. Remove the control from them permanently. And then throw them into the fucking lion's den. And let them get savaged by the lions. Which will usually be other snarkers doing it to them. Only way. 100%. That's the only way that you can deal with it. Anything else is not the answer. Anything else will not fix it. You have to cut them out. Cut them out. Root and stem.
Ready to take this to trial, ready to take this all the way. But we've always been waiting on Frogan and what she's going to do. There was a lot of speculation about Frogan, thinking she might settle, much in the same way of Casey Tron, while some were saying she was dedicated to fighting this to the end like Denims, and she was a true warrior. Well, we now have figured out exactly what's going to happen, and that is she is going to default on this case. And that's because today we have filed in the U.S. District Court, the Central District of California, we had filed a request for default judgment against defendant Morgan Kamal Majid. That is exactly Frogan in this case. So what is a...
Of course she's a fucking Morgan. Why wouldn't she be a Morgan? Morgan Kamala Jade. Certainly a name. Certainly a name. Certainly a name. But this outcome right here for Frogan is one of the better ways for her to go out. Let me explain. Every single step of the way, the snarkers tried to fight for attention. The entire goal was fighting for attention, being as annoying and abrasive as possible, and, quote, fighting the good fight and taking it to the airwaves to get seen and noticed by Hassan Piker and say, there I am, there I am, there I am! Why are you quoting my bangers, bro? And making money off of mocking people who allegedly have more money than them while they live in a state of delusion. Male, female alike. That's the worldview that they were put in. That's the world in which they were designing and creating around. Now, in that worldview, what you're dealing with is that it's kayfabe, right? That's what it is. It's kayfabe. If you disagree with this, put 2s in the chat. If you agree with my assessment, put some 1s in the chat. Let's see who's paying attention. All right? Now let me grab my official new red bandana. We are out of the phase. I gotta make it real. I gotta make it real and accurate to the thumbnail, boys. So. I need to do my hair again. And sticky and sweaty, 'cause I live in horrible weather. It's too hot outside, somebody shoot me. Dear God, it's hot. But everything, every single step has been, we're fighting for our power, we're fighting for our freedom, we're fighting for our attention. We want to make an example that Ethan Klein cannot do this to us. That's been the entire argument. And that's how they were making money off of it. Because you can't go from antagonizing his family to pretending, oh, I'm just a little itty bitty smaller swimmer. I'm being antagonized by the big Israeli man. The big Israeli man he's punishing and taking my money and attention, and he's harassing and bullying me, and I'm getting bullied by AB, and they broadcast it on their platform. They're harassing me. They're taking my ability to speak. You can't do this to me, please. Support my GoFundMe so that the evil Israeli and the evil IDF woman don't take my money. That was the entire grift. That was the entire grift. Every single step of the way, they were raising money knowing for a fact that they were going in to lose. But the entire goal was to make a name for themselves off of Ethan Klein and try to jettison themselves further into relevance. That was the goal. What they accomplished, however, is that they made an example of what snarkers are doing in general across all platforms everywhere. And that's the key criticism here, right? All they succeeded in doing is effectively creating a timeline of events that led all the way, no matter how many months, how many weeks, how many days it took, to everybody knows Hassan's retarded now. Hassan is dressing up in suits to try to break his bro code persona, hipster fuckboy attitude identity because, well, I've gotta put away childish things. I gotta be more of an adult. No, it's not, because you have to fucking fix your optics. Everybody knows you as the dog-abusing fucktard. Shock, 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 shock my dog, I can't stop. That's you, Hassan. They know you're nasty. They know your moderators as the retard fuckwads that are antagonizing people all the fucking time. Antagonizing them on Twitch, antagonizing their audiences, antagonizing on broadcast live on air, picking and choosing what comments and what arguments they want to address, blah, 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 across every single platform, across every single channel. But notice, you notice how Sean the Black isn't in the news anymore? You notice how Sean the Black isn't involved in this group anymore? Yeah, because he fucking learned. Yeah, he's the smart one. The black one there was the smart one. He realized what fucking time it is. Oh, it's time to put up and shut down. It's the kind of shit that you don't want to get into with Morgan & Morgan. It's the kind of call your first witness that you never want to hear a lawyer say. Because it was fun and games when it was outside of the courtroom. And oh, it's a lawsuit. But every single fucking one of them are buckling like goddamn belts. Every single one of them are broken in the fucking ankles. Every single one of them are now crying for attention. And I hope that they get the level of attention that they were getting when they were siphoning the views live on the content. Because they were doing the behavior, and then they threw each other to the lions. That's what happened. Example. The snarkers that were a part of the summary attempt to bring the identity of the Redditor snarkers into the fold, with the legal counsel for both representation of Denims and Frogan agreeing, and the legal counsel for Ethan Klein agreeing. What is that? That's them selling them under the goddamn boat, saying, fuck y'all niggas, I'm trying to live. Sean the Black would have been brought in, but because he's just an irrelevant fuckwad, and he is just a fucking clout chaser looking for clout to get off of Hassan, he recognized what time it is and said, fuck that noise, I'm not getting sued. And he fades into the background. Dwoom, 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 dwoom. Then, Frogan opens her big, formerly fat, because she's actually lost weight. This is one thing that I will do. Here's the one thing, well, one of the things. Here's the one thing that Carl will do for her. So that if people hate her, they'll hate her honestly. Frogan, for her effort, has lost weight. She put in the effort in the time period in which this lawsuit has been happening to lose weight. So she no longer has the fat face, even though her picture, one of her profile pictures, on her socials, is still her fatter appearance. This banner is inaccurate now. This profile pic is inaccurate now. She is actually much slimmer in the face. She has in fact lost the weight, and she has posted images as such of her losing said weight. So, this image here came from her posting herself recently, but it doesn't quite show off the figure. But here, you can see she is much slimmer, 100%. Compared to the images you had before, let me see if I can find some. Because here's the first one that she actually posted, where most of us said, congratulations for losing your weight. Because listen, when a person goes on a weight journey and they do something to make themselves healthier, you should try congratulating for that, even if there's somebody who you consider to be a fucking enemy. Because I don't want these people to die. I don't care that much about them. In the sense that I don't know these people that personally or parasocially. I don't want them to be antagonized to the point of death. I don't want them to be shot. I don't want them to be maimed. I do not want them to be harmed. I do not want them to be injured. It is just the case that they are the example of the kind of person who does the job poorly. But you cannot say she's a fat fuck. You cannot say those things now. You shouldn't have, because you shouldn't be making those arguments based on, yeah, you're a retard because you're fat. It is in fact the case that compared to before, compared to now, she is healthier. So somewhere during the time period of this fucking lawsuit, she started eating her fucking Wheaties and going to the gym. So for her, assuming that this becomes a pivot, oh, I lost my lawsuit, it is what it is. I didn't have time to focus on that. I was too busy getting my fitness. I was too busy getting slim. That might be an argument that she might legitimately make. Mark my fucking words. Sign that shit right now. That is an argument that might actually come out from this lawsuit. That is an argument that actually might come out from this lawsuit. You might unironically see one of the pieces of cope that technically it's not cope and it's good, but it is cope because you're running away of, I didn't fight the lawsuit and I defaulted because I had more pressing important things going on in my life. My life isn't social media, blah, 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 shut your fucking ass up. And with her defaulting, it puts the attention on the fact of, but you felt so strongly that you were innocent. Why didn't you fight for your innocence? You're fighting against the big bad Israeli man. You're fighting against the evil Jews. The evil Jews. The evil Jews. Signal boosting and also dog whistling when it's acceptable to hate Israelis and to call them Sabra hummus. And then dog whistling the shibboleth when they're bad and responsible for all the problems, but ignoring that the call's coming from inside the house. That level of behavior follows Denims, it follows Casey Tron, it follows Mike from PA, actively folding any foid he comes across, him also getting fat and depressed because he doesn't have anything to look forward to other than antagonizing other people and believing that whatever level of relevancy he's granted by Hassan Piker grants him a little bit of some dollary dues. And at the end of the day, what really matters is this all coming to the head of Hassan Piker. But remember, Hassan had a chance to help them. Remember, chat? Remember? You remember how they were bragging that they'd get over it, and Hassan didn't lift a fucking finger for one of them. Not one of them. He'll say verbal things. He will retweet and tweet and like and repost, but that nigga didn't sell a fucking dime for them. Not one woman. So, as an example of what it looks like when you are a Hassanite, your king, your lordship, the content creator you put your faith into, he won't argue for you. He won't save you. He won't help you. You can do all these things. You can do all this antagonization. You can do all this trolling as an offering to his throne. And not only will he leave you to fucking dry in the wind, he will leave you to twist in the wind. He will let you fucking get sued. He will let you default on your summary judgment. He will let you have to fucking take a knee and have to fucking cope out. He will let you get ass blasted across the platform. He will let this and all these things and more happen because at the end of the day, it didn't touch him. Real talk. If you were a Hassan fan, would this tell you that it's a good thing to be a Hassan fan and you'll keep believing in him? Or would you come to the dark side? Would you come to the dark side? Would you come to me? Would you go to people like Dev? Would you go to any other fucking creator? An apolitical one, and you'd say, look. I didn't realize how stupid he was. I thought the dog shocking shit was a meme. But then I found out that he actually did it. And oh my god, I can't believe I gave that nigga money. I can't believe I put my faith in him. Oh. What would you actually do, chat? Speak on it. Speak on it. What would you actually do if you found out that that's the level of intelligence that you're backing? What would you do if that's your fucking content creator? Because the answer should be, and let's hope to see them roll in eventually, the answer should be, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not backing that. No. I'm not putting my money into your pockets so that it can eventually go into somebody else's pocket because you're being a retard. In a long roundabout way, you could be like, if I gave them money, it eventually went to a person who deserved it, who is a victim. But no, you wouldn't give them money to defend them from the fucking dumbass lawsuits that they could they could have avoided if they didn't steal shit that didn't belong to them. They would avoid these consequences if they didn't do the dumb shit that they did. But they did do that. And they were smug about it the entire way up. So what goes up must come down. And the entire fall. Delicious! Delicious! Yes! Gloviated it. Or as Squidward would say, drown in it! Drown in it! Because if they're willing to go this far, if they're willing to harass a family, they're willing to lie to CPS, they're willing to back Bad Empanada, who somehow escapes the lawsuit because this motherfucker running to another goddamn country to avoid getting served papers in America. If they're willing to break the terms of service on Twitch, they're willing to leverage connections on Twitch to get away from doing this behavior, where the only time, and only one of them, the only time, well, technically not one of them, VO, that was also on that Sabra panel, got banned for 30 days, and she bitched and complained about it. But all of those people, and all that shit that they chose to do, that they tried to leverage, to say, no, actually, we're not talking about Israelis that are born in the state of Israel, and saying that it's okay to fuck with them, and that if you're not down with Habibi, it's because you're a fucking Jew lover. We're talking about the Sabra hummus brand of hummus. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Never mind the fact that the definition of a Sabra in Israeli is they are a Jew that is born in the state of Israel, which is them finding a way to say Zionist. That's all it is. It's a cover word for Zionist. It's a cover word to say devil and sinner, any word that is a part of the feminist idolatry and is a part of the political idolatry that makes up the majority of the political movement and makes up the majority of the political talking points and its theorems and its identity and its stake and claim on what they believe the school of thought that they come from. That's all it is. It's all a grift. It's all a grift designed to provide them money, where if you fight them, you lose, and if you don't fight them, you lose. Because they want to mock you into saying, nothing's going to happen, nothing's going to happen. Hence, what I said earlier about ripping root and stem. The only thing that they will respond to is significant dragging on their losses. It's the only thing that'll work. And so, even though this happened this way, even though those positive things happened for Frogan, she did learn her lesson. She didn't learn a lesson. Gotta see what she's gonna do next. Gotta see what Denims is gonna do next. Because now it's all on Denims. All eyes on Denims. And she's already begging for more money. I wonder if you're gonna get it. I wonder what will happen. Who knows? Who knows?
Motion for default judgment. That's a motion essentially saying, hey, they haven't responded, they passed the deadlines, so now we're going to assume liability. So once this is accepted by the court and approved by the court, liability is completely on Frogan. She gives up the fair use defense, she can no longer argue the law, all of that is out. The only thing left after this is damages. So you can argue over damages, so she would have a chance to speak up and say, no, the damages aren't that much, or let's argue over the damages.
She just buried her head in
this file is over, it's done, she's lost after this point. So
she done, all right.
Through the facts to figure out exactly how bad this was and how much Frogan did not put up a fight. But before we move on, there's an important message.
That is hilarious.
Recently, a jury ordered Meta and YouTube to pay millions for
Always delusional when these people say, no, Islam doesn't hate the Jews. It's the Zionists that attack innocent people. Ignore the Jews that are all in the defense of war, guys. True. The forever war of the Fertile Crescent continues to be the ultimate scapegoat for them. They will talk shit to people like Dylan Burns and tell him, why aren't you war reporting from the war-torn state while he's in the fucking trenches fucking reporting from the war-torn state. This was a funny one. This was a funny one that actually came up on that came up and across on the timeline. It was extremely funny. I'm gonna pull it up for you. Cause it got a community note and everything. It was really good. Really, really good. Dylan Burns. There we go. First fucking image. There you go. Look at that grin, boys. Look at that grin. You see that, Snarkers? That's called living your standards. Why don't you stop being inside the boys and girls and you go to the fucking war-torn country and do some reporting? No? You don't want to get shot at and bombed? Damn, that's crazy. I guess you don't care that much about all those fucking weak Palestinians that are suffering under the crimes. I guess you don't give enough of a shit. I guess if you don't go do that, you don't actually care about your problems, huh? Can I get a big true in the chat, please? It's so crazy. It's so crazy. Anyways, back to this.
For their role in designing and promoting addictive platforms.
Yeah, I think they made kids retarded or something. There was like an ad on the radio for this.
They knew their apps could contribute to anxiety, depression, and body image issues, but did not share those risks while prioritizing profits. The recent historic verdict underscores the consequences of those decisions. If you or your child spent...
That's just social media in general, bro. And that's just companies putting profit on margins over people and their health. The same way that the healthcare system can and will put profit over people and put money over medicine. It's half the reason I'm so fucking angry about how they treated her while she was not in my care in the hospital. It is exactly what companies do. It shouldn't be the way of the world, but that's how they make the bottom line.
Years growing up on social media and experienced serious mental health struggles, you should hear this. Morgan & Morgan is stepping up to hold these platforms accountable for the harm.
And then it's an ad. Oh my god. Is there a message that was hidden that you didn't get to type out, Avalon?
Recovery of this matter against defendant Morgan Kamal-Majid, PK Frogan, on the grounds that the defendant has failed to appear or otherwise respond to the complaint within the time prescribed by the Federal Rules of Procedure. Now understand, this is not asking much. All that will be required is a very simple filing. She could have told her lawyer, hey, I'm on a budget, hey, I don't want to spend that much money, hey, try to keep this to a one-page or the bare bones, let's just give a basic complaint response so we don't default. They could have kept that to a minimum amount.
I feel like they're probably going to give Ethan a lot of money because, like, I feel like the courts... I mean, this is kind of like almost like contempt of court, isn't it? I mean, if you just go out and you don't even respond to what's against you, I feel like that's really bad.
You can tell your lawyer, hey, keep this cheap, just the bare minimum, I want to delay.
It's not even about the money. It is about the legal fact that they cannot make the case to say that actually we were harassed by Ethan Klein. It is the case that they legally will now have it on record as a case of principle that no, actually, you harassed Ethan Klein. He sued you for what you did. And you were too much of a coward that you didn't fight it in court. You talked a big game. You didn't say anything at all that was of value. You acted in such a way where you thought that you would be able to get away with what you were doing. And when it came down to it, when it came down to the brass tacks, it is the fact that you literally do not get to complain anymore. Because everybody knows. Avalon, you know damn well there's no way YouTube was going to put that message up. even as a chat mod, there's no way they would have let you post that message. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Come on. And the funny part is that it's not even something that you put. It's just the combination of the words you used.
The latest, I want to try to push this off.
A year ago,
That's something to tell the lawyer, but they didn't even give that, and they've had almost a year at this point, so since August of last year.
That's a long time ago.
So this was filed, of course, June 19th of last year, July 17th of last year. Frogan got the complaint.
Right.
So they've had basically an entire period of almost about a year to respond to these claims. So originally, they wanted to milk everything for what it was worth, and then they basically ignored it when it no longer was getting them traction on Twitter. Which means it was just gay ops and it was just drama. That's all it was. That's all it was, and that's all they wanted it to be. Ooh, that one's nasty. That's all they wanted it to be. Long and short, that is where it went to. That is what they wanted it to be. That is the energy that they put into it. That is how it actually formulates. That is how it actually happened. The fact that it happened that way, and the fact that it breaks down this way, just adds more fuel to the fire, for one, in the corner of Ethan Klein being right, and two, that this isn't really serious for them. It's not as big as a deal as they claim that it is. They're just trying to maintain as many connections as possible, but now it's about saving as much face as possible.
And on August 5th of last year, they had a joint stipulation to extend her deadline from August to October and also give her time for these filings. Since then, they also engaged in settlement negotiations. Now, the counsel for both sides can't talk about the details of settlement negotiation. However, I would like to speculate here, if I may.
Exciting.
I would like to say that they probably did the bare minimum in negotiation to make it kick down the line, to just take this and extend this out as far as possible.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't come up with an agreeable settlement. And I think during this period of time, Frogan was looking at Casey trying her settlement. And she was thinking, hey, look, if I settle, I'm going to have to give all of my legal defense fund over to Ethan Klein. And instead of doing that, let me kick this down the can and use those funds for my Big Macs. Yes, the giant mountain of Big
Amount. I mean, there's part of that where you could say that she was definitely eating through her money. Literally eating through her money. Because she chooses to eat so much on fucking camera. But honestly, I don't. I'll put it this way. I do not believe, as funny as a meme as it is to say she's eating the money, unless we can produce tax credits and bills and statements that she actually was using the money to pay for an extravagant, laissez-faire lifestyle, sitting on her ass, being an inside girl, talking shit about people across the internet, and being an online bully and socialite, while also trying to maintain connections to these pro-left extreme figures and extreme groups. I am not willing to go and say that she was, quote, eating the money. It's a funny meme. Not that funny, but it's a funny meme, but produce me some bills. I'm more willing to say she kicked the can down the road and tried to ignore it and tried to milk it for drama than I am willing to say that she was a fat piggy and she ate the money. End of. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm taking the same stance I did about the 200 shit inside Pragmata. I don't see a reason to go off on something that's irrelevant to the point. Her weight's not relevant. It's not. It isn't. It never has been. It's just another attack vector for other people to make memes about her the way that they believe it's tit for tat across the pond. And I'm tired of both of it. It's useless. There's no reason for you to do it. The facts and nothing else. That's all you need to say.
Big Macs that we can all see Frogan chowing down on. Let's use that for the Big Mac fund over this period of time, and as I whittle this down, we'll eventually just not even ignore it, whatever else. And hey, maybe this will go away. And maybe she got advice it'd be totally okay for her to just ignore this in default. Maybe she got somebody whispering in her ear, yeah, forget about it. He's not actually going to go after you, or it's going to look bad, or you're going to come some sort of sob story. Well, that's not the case. The court, of course, at this point, had every right to enter into a default judgment, which is what they're requesting. So they informed them on April 20th that they intended to proceed with litigation, gave her 3 weeks, and their deadline to respond was May 11th. That did not come. That day came and gone, and now, boom, we're at default judgment territory. Now, how is this not a scam? Because if we look at her legal defense fund, her lawsuit defense fund on Give, Send, Go, she raised almost $40,000, $38,750.
So how is it a legal defense fund if you didn't even defend yourself? Yeah, no, that's a good point. You're right.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's because it's not. It's a scam. That's the rough. That's the long and short. That's the point of what I'm saying. Every single bit of the dollary dues that every single one of them put together in the defense fund was basically a way for them to liquidate for the equivalent of what would be a leftist shill's way of saying, I'm in dire financial straits. I'm going to get rehomed. I'm going to lose my house. Please help me. That's what this was for them. If that's the argument you want to make, because we can't make that argument, because maybe she has money from somewhere else. And this is the nebulous part, because you're saying things that you have to prove in a court of law. And I'm not going to put myself open to being sued, because I'm not a fucking retard. But I need a hat. Yes, she did hire a lawyer. She had the same lawyer as Denham's. She did, in fact, have a lawyer. She was either crowdsourcing her payment to the lawyer, or she and Denham's had separate pays that they were giving as their retainer fee for the same lawyer, a part of the same group. 1 second. I need my stool. This gag requires a prop. Where's the fucking Dr. Seuss hat? I know I have it up here somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? I knew it's up here. I knew it's up here. Where is it? The hat needs to be goofy. The hat needs to be goofy. I think I threw it in the corner is what I did. Where I put that shit? Where could it be? Where did I put that shit? I don't seem to know where it is. I apparently need to reorganize and go through my shit to find where I put my other fucking hats. But okay, we're gonna work with what we got right now. One's in the chat for left hand, two's in the chat for right hand. Which hat? I'll let you pick which hat I use for this gag. Speak now or forever hold your grits. I'll give you like 20 seconds. I see one for left. Boo, boo, boo. I see two for left. Five, four, three, two, one. Left hand wins. If my head even fits this right now. So, for your argumental sake, with my fucking newsy cap, apparently makes me look like a fucking lesbian. I have to put it on like I'm a fucking pickaninny from a fucking blaxploitation film. It's the return of Cajun Bob. So, let's put our thinking cap on for just a moment. Okay? Let's put our thinking cap on. If the entire intention behind antagonizing Ethan Klein was so each woman, because it's just the case that they happen to be all women, Sean the Black could have been involved, that each woman cried foul, and the goal was never to win the lawsuit, and instead was to defraud as many people as possible out of money on their lawsuits, on their presentation, on their relevancy to what they wanted to do with said money. If the goal was to defraud people, let's calculate the level of that fraud. Okay? So, we're looking at an acceptable range of, we can agree, is about 40,000 from each. Multiply that by, let's say Sean the Black was actually a part of the lawsuit, and he got served too. If the goal for each of them was to do anywhere between a minimum of 40K plus out of all of the lefties and all of the fucking shit libs and all of the bad faith figures that come from that side, if the goal for all of them was to defraud as many people as possible by saying, help, help, I'm being harassed by the evil Jew, and it was all about trying to make Ethan Klein seem like he was a bully, unreasonably and unfairly striking them, to punish their channels, and to litigate their problems publicly and openly across all social media broadcasts for the purposes and the continuation of all of the drama that began last year and has now come to a head to now. At minimum, through Denham's, Casey Tron Frogan, and what would have been Sean the Black, all the people who were there that were a part of that bullshit when they were doing their response video to Ethan Klein. That is 160K that all of them would have defrauded. Minimum. So, what's the actual number? Now, Casey Sean's fundraiser got removed from GoFundMe, so we can't get her number and what her final dollar amount was. I don't think anyone recorded it, but I do think that there is a website that was put together for the purposes of tracking the money. All of the data that I'm finding from the H3H3 Productions subreddit says that the final number for CaseyTron, because the site cannot be reached because it's either taking too long or it's behind a firewall or blah 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 or whatever the fuck is going on. So we're going to double check to see if it exists. No, it doesn't seem that it exists anymore properly. So, we're just going to have to look at the screen concurrently. We're going to make this small. We're going to come back to that in a second. From the last reporting that people did 6 months ago, when CaseyTron's thing was taken down, is that the actual number that CaseyTron raised was up to a handover of $8,000 within the last week with no movement on anything, where she had about 57 grand before paying her lawyers. So, looking back at this number, remember this number, we're going to write this down, okay? Let's put it into the Obsidian file. let's do it that way. First, I need to open my Obsidian file. Ha 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 ha. And alas, I did, but it's not on the right page. So let's make a new page. Well, actually, technically, I can use the same page that I was using for something else, actually. So let's just do that. Zoom into the zone. Let's take the screen cap that we have. And let's do the actual calculation for what it should be, which is a minimum of 40K for 3. Okay? So, 40K for 3 people is 120K. That they potentially defrauded out of all the people that tried to support them in the trying time where the evil Ashkenazis... Wow, Carl. High five up top. Where the evil Ashkenazi was antagonizing them for the crime of siphoning his own call-out video against Hassan Piker. If anybody steals that joke and you don't credit me, I'm gonna find you in your house and I'm gonna skin you alive. I'm gonna eat your skin. I'm gonna live in your skin. Okay? Words of the wise. Don't steal my jokes without giving me credit. But evil Ashkenazi, they try to defraud out 220K from claiming Ethan Klein's gonna put them in the poorhouse and is gonna antagonize sweet, succulent, simply innocent white and brown women. Right? Right. So, from what we know, allegedly, from the consideration of all the shit, we know that Caseytron, that's white, we know that Caseytron had, at minimum, from the time of this reporting 6 months ago, from the subreddit snarkers, from the Ethan side of things, that it's 57 grand. So 17K more than the base prediction. Dial that in. So now, let's look into Frogan. How much did Frogan make? How much did Frogan fundraise? Because on GoFundMe, hers is still live. Well, concurrent to the last time somebody donated, where it was donation protected, she has raised a minimum. She has raised a minimum of 38.806. So, shy a few dollars of 39K. Dial that in. Now, you ask the same question. How much did Denims earn? On the same website, how much did Denims earn? 58.5K. $58,550. Dial that in. So, looking at the number that we start with as a baseline, and then moving into the number that we have here, between these examples, for all 3 of these women, all 3 of these women made collectively together more money than they should have been deserved to earn, as they were stealing somebody else's content and breaking the terms of service of the platform amongst each and every single one of these users. So, what we're looking at in totality is we're looking at a total accruement of at least $6,000 shy of $160K. $160,000 approximately, rounding up, shy of $160K, rounding up, or rounding down, however you want to look at it, that all three of these people could have defrauded content and defrauded money and defrauded entertainment out of these people for the sake of just securing a bag for themselves. Assuming that they wouldn't get sued, he would just get angry and he'd kick up a dust storm and he wouldn't actually do anything. And it would act as a way for them to import the infinite Twitch glitch. I antagonize somebody, I harass somebody, I push their buttons, I fuck with them, I hate raid them, I talk about them constantly, I create drama around them, and I create an infinite money source. I get infinite views, my audience grows, not because of the content I make, but because of the people that I hate watch and that I antagonize. And with that socialite bully mindset, they collect a pretty sweet chunk of change. If we put the thinking cap on, okay? If we put the radical thinking cap on, that is the final number that we're working off of, okay? That's the world that we're talking about. If it's the case that they actually intended to defraud him, which, let's make the argument that that's what they wanted to do. At least at minimum. Because we don't know what it would have been for the guys, because there ain't no guys that get sued. But, if it's the case that this is the argument, here's how much we could expect them to have tried to take. And that's how much Ethan Klein should be getting in terms of damages, because it should be the money from the GoFundMes and the lawyer's fees. Now, for one of them, she is retracting herself from the lawsuit. I believe she's still in the ability of getting judged. I think for the time being, H3's legal team and Ethan himself is accepting her proposition that if she stops, he won't sue her. Who knows? Because there are parody accounts that constantly try to act as though they are Ethan Klein, and that they're going to make sure that she gets sued again and even harder. But it is at this time legally. There has been nothing that has been filed against Caseytron to bring her back into the lawsuit where she has to pay it. So, wipe that number from the ledger. That's $57,000 that's not there. Retaining that number from what we got from that number, you go from 54 all the way to 97. $97,356 that potentially was defrauded. Assuming that Caseytron is out and she doesn't have to deal with what Frogan and Denims will have to deal with. Okay? If it is the case that they have defrauded now closer to $100K worth of money, trying to cry bully and victim blame themselves into a position where they would be able to get away with this, you're still looking at the fact that you still have to produce the amount of money that's equivalent to. Okay? I'm sorry, unless somehow she's stacking the fucking food away for a rainy day and she's pulling a fucking Nificado avocado. It is the case that you can't prove to me she's eating all the money. Okay? That's all it comes down to. I want it to be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is what happened there. It's a funny meme. It's really funny. It's not that funny. You need to prove that that's what happened. If you can prove it, then I'll be right there behind you. If you can't prove it, stop saying it. Fuck off. Now, In order for us to know, she has to provide proof of where the money's going. Now, what we can say to the energy of that, now that we have the amount that we're looking to see proof of, okay? Directly from the mouth of the websites, for both of the lawsuits. There are no follow-ups. None. There are no follow-ups. Those of you remember that for GoFundMe, I started a GoFundMe for my friend to help her when she was in between problems and payments. And you guys came together to help her and her people. And you know that to show you that I did those things, in mine, I provided the evidence of the receipts, of every transaction, and every bit of where the money went, and every bit of what was said, and every bit of what we did, and every bit of what we were making sure you know that I didn't use the money to DoorDash my own shit. So you know how it works. I know how it works. You know how it works. Where I showed the effort to show where my money went, the same way that I always do with my material, anything that I ever purchase for myself, for broadcasts, for materials, for efforts, for utilities, I have receipts. It's the case that both Demons and Frogan do not. So, all they need to do to beat this claim, present the receipts. Show us where the money went. Show me the money! Show me the money! You do that and you're clear. It should be really easy, right? Certainly they're not the kind of streamers that spend money frivolously and don't keep track of anything they do, right? They wouldn't be financially irresponsible. Just like every other fucking Twitch content creator and platform created user that thinks that it's just a fucking free home buffet where you can sit down on your ass, do no work, and do no effort. Right? That's not what these two people are doing, right? You can show inside the lawsuit the money, because the money should be a part of discovery, actually, right? Because the material purpose of this is that people were raising money as a form of awareness and as a form of supporting the lawsuit. So, Ethan Klein, Ethan Klein, you and your representation have the opportunity to do something really funny. Klein, Ethan, make them present the receipts, Ethan. Just saying, it's the fastest way to validate it. If you want to be able to resist it, if you want to be able to prove it, all you gotta do is show some receipts. It should be easy. You should want to show receipts. Don't you want to prove that you're better than a Jew? Do it. Do it for the country. Do it for the meme. Moving on.
Yeah, like she didn't even do anything. She just sat there and was like, yeah, I guess, I mean, you know, Jesus, take the wheel, and then you just lose. So she just took the money.
Allah. No, actually, Muhammad. Muhammad took the wheel.
Wow.
Dollars. The donations are running up to this day. She was getting donations very
Somebody gave her $73 a month ago, and now
that were coming into her fund. So she's still out there grifting for her legal defense, despite the fact that she hasn't really used it for legal defense. Really, there's been no filings on her part, significant filings over almost a year, since August of last year. She really hasn't done anything. So what's going on? Where did all this money go? Didn't she have to use that for legal funds? Well, I called this out last year, and I'm proven absolutely right yet again that she tucked some weasel words in here so she didn't get hit with scamming or fraud allegations.
Personal or any other, it says any other bills or personal expenses from lost wages and damages arising from this litigation. So this is...
So she used weasel words to say, actually, this isn't... Okay. I'll put it like this. I don't think Dankula has it pinned anymore. I'm going to go see if he does. He doesn't. So I'm going to have to speak in the sense of the past. back in the era of 2018-2019. Count Dankula had to show proof that he gave all his money that was donated for the lawsuit directly to the lawyers that he had on retainer. Trying to find it. Trying to find it. We gotta go back to the web machine. Okay, so right now, back during the time of 2019, Count Dankula had people coming at him, demanding him to show proof that he sent the money to the legal counter that he was supposed to. And it was pinned to his account for years that he in fact did do that. He had undone it recently because of, well, everything. Doing the Mad Lads, divorcing from his wife, everything else. He didn't have the time to do the fuck bullshit. Lawyers. Lawyers, lawyers. Lawyers, lawyers, lawyers. Lawyers, lawyers, lawyers. Lawyers, lawyers, lawyers. Lawyers, lawyers, lawyers. This is more recently on the things from his video content. People covering Afroman. I wonder how far back I'd have to go. Nope. Legal fees. D. Can't find it. Unfortunate. So, if you know, you know. If you don't, I'm sorry. Can't find it. It's basically lost to the fucking time of Twitter. But, for years, Count Dankula and any person who had ever been attacked and antagonized would pin to their comment section proof that retainer had been given to their legal team to put them on notice that they had not kept any of the money inside of alternative bank accounts, but that the full amount was showed as a part of it. So if it is the case that this is what we're at now, and it's in the interest of showing that you did not steal the money, all they have to do is show proof that they didn't steal the money. And I doubt that they're going to do that. I doubt they're going to do that for a lot of reasons. And if it is the case that Frogan decided to write down as a way to scapegoat her way out of being held accountable by, quote, and I had it up here so I can just do it this way, that she's going to escape being held accountable for running off with the money because, quote, she wrote it as basically a form of tip. You're tipping her in the tip jar. You're giving her money out of your free will and support. It's something that you're doing because you like her, not you trying to put your money behind her back for the support of a legal fund. That is a way for her to basically spend the money freely whenever she wants on whatever she wants. And because we're fighting evil Jew Ashkenazis, it's okay to do it. So let's check the wording on both of their posts, alright? After nearly 2 years of a targeted harassment campaign, blah, 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 reacting to myself, this fundraiser is to cover any and all legal fees associated with this complaint, any county claims I have against them, and any other bills and personal expenses from watched wages and damages arising from this litigation. To be quite serious, she's not losing anything. She only has to gain. Because we're content creators. By making drama about yourself, you're inserting yourself into the drama cycle, which irrevocably will bring your name up, which will have people clicking you, have people searching you, potentially having people who support you watch you, and having people who don't like you hate watch you if they want to talk about you enough to give you attention, to give you views, and A-log and blah 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 blah, and fucking poop sock. Now, denims. Ethan Klein is suing me for reacting to his video on Hassan's content nuke. This funder is to cover any and all legal fees associated with this complaint. So, Frogan has a caveat here where she says, I'm going to use this to fight, but I will also use this to cover for anything I might need because of lost wages. Whereas Denims says, this is only for my legal fund. So this is an argument that can be used against Frogan, but not against Denims. That publicly she said, I will use this on the legal fund. So this can actually be used both ways on both girls. One, you can force discovery on Frogan's receipts from her bank account, bank statements, on what she's paid and what she's expended with the money that came from that account, that came from that transaction, because it can be it can be followed. They can follow the money and where it went. You can also do the same thing to Denims, and you can ask for discovery to prove that Denims didn't spend it on anything she wasn't supposed to. That it only went towards her legal fee. And that's very easy, because that means they would have just cut a check saying, here's the amount that you paid us with this material in full. Here's continued payments out of it that you've made in full. She can do that, 100%. It's easy for her to do that. It's easy for both of them to do this. And there's no reason why they should resist it, because they should want to have their name clear, right? This is just another level of what the evil Ashkenazi is doing to me. One's in the chat, two's in the chat. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, exactly.
So if we turn back to the actual language that she tucked into that Give, Send, Go legal defense fund, you can see it says here, this fundraiser is to cover any and all legal fees associated with his complaint.
Oh, he's reading it.
Any counterclaims I may have against them, well, she can't file any counterclaims if she defaults. That's totally gone. So that's some BS to begin with.
Yep.
And then saying any other bills and personal expenses from lost wages and damages arising from this litigation. So her whole horse is going to be bet on personal expenses and bills. So she used this.
She's not like, dude, she's going to get away with this. She's going to get every single Big Mac that she could ever want. This is infinite hamburgers. Think about that.
She used this once again for the Big Mac fund, chowing down on Cheetos, fried chicken, whatever else she did. But I mean, she was not using this for this fund. And because of that, she's able to say, hey, I didn't scam you because I put personal expenses in there. So you can't sue me. You guys can't come back and say I defrauded you because hey, I disclosed this could be my personal expenses.
Wow.
So in judgment here, looking at this, I absolutely believe that she clearly used this for her personal expenses chiefly. Because she really didn't do anything in this lawsuit.
That's the biggest but that you could come to. But hey, we talked through it. We talked through it. We did the math. We talked through it. We did the math.
Significantly, her legal bills are probably
like, I'd say $3,000, right?
More than a couple $1,000s in this, over totally based on what she did. She really didn't have to spend more than that for what she's done so far. It really isn't that expensive to just, go and have settlement negotiations.
It's expensive to do one of these lawsuits. It is. There's a lot of money that goes into it. I know.
phones work, etc., and not even filing a response, a basic, short 1-2 page response, something very simple, is absolutely disgraceful, having put up a legal defense fund. Not even putting up a fight, not even taking this to summary judgment or a further stage where she could try to make an attempt to argue the law, try to do what Denims did. She's not even gone as far as Denims, right? Denims at least...
Well, there's an argument there, but I'm going to let you finish before we get there, because I'm not going to pause, Andy.
Shown, hey, she's willing to put up some level of fight in this. She hasn't even...
Well, here's the reason why Denims can do that. It's because Denims gets like at least a couple thousand viewers, and she has OnlyFans. So she's getting dudes to give her money. Like, Frogan doesn't have anybody watching her, and she doesn't have anything like that. So really...
I mean, that's part of it, but I'm gonna let him finish.
I mean, Frogan doesn't... I mean, it's a sitting duck. I mean, she can't do anything about it. Yeah, I mean, she's just gonna get there and get got. Rising star? Well, this seems more like a black hole. You put your money into it, it's gone forever.
Right, Frogan has been sitting in her room, not doing anything with this. And
okay. So... there are 3 acceptable mitigating factors that equivocate why Denims can go faster and go further, and why Denims can do more, and why Frogan didn't do enough. Number 1, Denims is not as popular. Frogan is not as popular. Frogan is a hangabout. She is effectively a leech. The only reason she's there is to be a token. And as a token Muslim, she exists to be spent by Hassan. You act like a token, you get spent for fair. That's how that works. That's why Sean the Black's ass ain't nowhere to be around. He ain't trying to go out like a token. He doesn't want to be co-signed onto it. Because that fucks his career. He wants to have a career where he can meander however the fuck he wants to meander. 2. Frogan's not as popular. It sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not. Denims has more popularity. Denims is seen as the one who is the female Hassan equivalent. The same way you could say that Kyla, not so erudite, is the equivalent to Destiny. And certain political figures are who they are. She's not as popular. It's the case that Denim's the pretty one, and Frogan is homely. That's not me making a statement about the women and their appearances. That's me making a statement based on how the actual liquidity moves based on numbers. And then finally, because he blurted it out, Denims has pay pigs. Denims has pay pigs, and she has people who give her money for OnlyFans for her shitty little boudoir photos, where she actively uses IRL ongoing litigation as backdropping for the photo set of the content. No, I'm not being mean right now. It's not time to be mean. That comes later. She has OnlyFans simps. And so she has a cash flow injection where Frogan wouldn't want to get a beefsteak injection. Now I'm being mean. Now you can say that's for whatever fucking purpose you want. Hey, you could even make the argument, it wouldn't be a good one, that the reason why Frogan lost weight is so that she could start an OnlyFans. So she can get milking the pay pig cows too. But it's the case that Denims does porn. She does softcore porn. She doesn't do hardcore porn. She's only doing lewds. But she has simps that will pay for lewds. She has the ability to earn more money. She has more viewers. She's more popular. So she can do more to protect her career. Whereas Frogan, having seen the writing on the fucking wall, or rather, the mustard on the wrapper, she doesn't have the ability, or rather, shouldn't have the motivation, is the argument that I would make, to go further on the lawsuit. Because what's in it for her? She knows that Hassan Piker doesn't have her back. And she knows that she has a smaller audience. She's just a moderator. So she's either falling back to her position, and she is gonna just do what she can do best, and that's preserve her accountability. And the best thing that she can have happen is this outcome that's currently happened here. Because the grander problem at the end of the day, and this is the hidden number 4, is that this is not a question about popularity, and it's not a question about money. It's a question about who's fighting harder. The real argument, the real question you have to broach, does these two women, are they prepared for what will happen next when they then go to judgment? And the problem with that is that it's about who stays in the limelight more. If Frogan defaults, yes, she's going to get mocked. Yes, she's going to get harassed. Yes, people are going to try to call her fat. Yes, all these things and more. But guess what you're not doing? I knocked things over. I knocked over my bottles. Guess what she's not? In the limelight anymore. Guess who gets all the heat? The person who's still there. Guess what the argument becomes? Take a wild stab at the dark, chat. I want to see your offers. I want to see who's paying attention. Take a stab in the dark. What do you think the final problem and the actual final argument's going to be? The argument here, of course, is Ethan Klein's audience and anybody else looking onwards at Denims. What do you think the argument is going to be if Frogan defaults out and Casey Tron runs? Take a stab in the dark. I want to see your answers. While you do that, I'm going to take my pills. Let's get those answers rolling. If you have no idea, just say, I don't know, Carl. We gotta do an AFK check. Gotta make sure who's paying attention and who's just lurking. Nobody has any guesses? None whatsoever? This should be one of the easiest ones that you can tee up off the line. Sleep deprivation. You should see a doctor about that. If Denims is the only person who's paid so much into the lawsuit, then the problem becomes all of this gets stuck on Denims. Frogan left. Excuse me. Casey Tron left. Frogan defaults. Frogan gets mocked for having defaulted and trying to put up a fight, only to basically use this as a cash flow injection for whatever she wants to use the legal fund for. So she creates it as a slush fund. Casey Tron completely bows out of the lawsuit, but her GoFundMe gets taken down as a form of defrauding. She gets in trouble with GoFundMe. People are saying, ha ha, look at the fat loser who's smoking a hookah. Look at the fat loser who's smoking a hookah and crying and complaining and whining on air about the attention she's getting when she started to ask for the attention. Look at the fat loser sitting next to Micah from BA who punches and kicks couches because Human Lazelle, Kira Chats, harassed him when he used to be slim and made him depressed and fat. And look at Denims. She's defrauding people. She's rug pulling. She's doing shit for attention. Hey, Denims, why are you fighting so hard? Why are you still here? The other smart ones already left. Why don't you quit? Why don't you quit? Why don't you quit? That's the argument. That's the bag Denims has to hold now. All of them are guilty of what they did. One quits, one defaults and doesn't answer on time, which leaves one that has the most to lose. Optically, financially, clout-wise. The entire argument is based off of her being victimized. But she did the shit. The last thing Denims wants to do is go to court. That's attention. What do you think is going to sell better as a headline? Denims defaults, Denims bows out of court case, or Denims goes to YouTube trial law, loses, and becomes precedent for Ethan Klein to sue the fuck out of her? What do you think is going to be more embarrassing? Having to give Ethan Klein money as a part of a settlement? Having to give Ethan Klein money because she defaulted and she has to pay attorney's fees? Or becoming YouTube precedent to get Twitch users banned? Which one do you think sells worse? Which one do you think puts more bad juju on her name? Which one do you think is going to get her in trouble with the snarkers after throwing them under the bus? Take a wild guess. Is it A, B, or C? The correct answer is C. H3H3 versus Vague Hoss. Ethan Klein versus whoever else he's gonna fucking sue. Akila obviously versus Carl Benjamin. You do not want to be YouTube precedent. Hell, throw up Victor Joseph Manoa and put up Victor Joseph Manoa versus Funimation. You do not want to be precedent. Shisha does not want to be precedent. If she becomes precedent, she's gonna fuck everybody in her field. And they will blame her. If it's the case that Frogan rug pulled and she used it as a cash injection, she'll get mocked a little bit. The equivalent of maybe 6 to 12 days of people remembering this story exists, and probably less than that, before they get fucking distracted by yet another instance of e-drama. It's basically over for her. Over in the sense of she's not going to get more criticism than she already has. Denims, however, she's not just left holding the proverbial bag. She now has to carry the entire weight of the argumentation with her legal fund. She has to carry the entire argumentation of the responses with her acumen. She has to be able to communicate what's happening on broadcast, and she's not a good orator. And she has to be able to prove, to beyond a shadow of a doubt, that she did not steal his content when she stole his content and he has her dead to rights. Doing it with the snarkers, directing people to her channel and others' channels, when she's already also thrown those snarkers under the bus. If Denims goes and loses in court, she is going to be burned. Burned. Persona non grata. It might be the case that Hassan might drop her if that happens. The entire left will be angry because she'll have created YouTube precedent for YouTubers to sue Twitch streamers across the pond. Because the thing that usually kept them safe was that YouTube streamers were YouTube streamers, and Twitch streamers were Twitch streamers, and Kick streamers are Kick streamers. But actually, no, we have crossover platforms on all platforms. If it is the case that you're going to defraud me out of my content and steal my content to make money off of me, and you're going to harass my family, and you're going to use this entire infinite money glitch as an attention cycle to earn you content, I should strike you where you operate most. I'm going to take your money, I'm going to take your views, I'm going to take your channel, I'm going to take your connections, I'm going to take your ability to infiltrate and create the structure, I'm going to make sure everybody knows how it works, and I'm going to make sure everybody knows who to blame when they can't do that because of shit that she did. That's the long and short. That's the rub. That's the game. That's the actual game. That's what it's become now. Frogan defaulting now means that Denims has to make smart moves. Be sure she creates YouTube precedent that allows content creators to be able to start taking them responsibly to court. Because that's what's at risk here. That's the argument. Fuck all that other drama about the fucking lawsuit. This is the point. The entire point was he wants to sue them to make precedent. If they default, then there can be no proper judgment. Not unless the court rules in favor, because as far as they see it, this is about money. For many of us, this is about fucking culture. You don't steal. You don't steal on the level they stole. Certainly, it's one way to make content. It's one thing to do fair use. It's an entire other thing to fully siphon a VOD on another channel as a way to get around siphoning the views from the content creator it's supposed to come from. And then participating in a non-stop forever war and hate campaign against that person to do life ruination. That's gang stalking. That's cyber stalking. Add those charges to the mix, and she has to fight for her fucking life.
If you look at the actual liability, it's going to be large. It's going to be over 200K. Likely, statutory damages alone are up to 150K, and that doesn't include any of Frogan's profits or any of Ethan's lost revenue. So if they're able to cobble together 50 or
Dude, no way. Oh my God.
100K of lost profits or Frogan's revenue, something like that, as well as attorney's fees, because Ethan can tack his attorney's fees onto this.
Oh my God, I forgot all about this. Yes, of course, because now if she default loses, then also he can have her pay for the fee. Oh fuck. Because that's where that's the extra, like how much did Ethan spend on this legal suit? Probably, if I had to guess, I don't know, like 50, 80K, something like that. Like, yeah, I'd say like 100K. I feel like maybe, I think that it might be a little bit less because I think he knows the people that he's working with, so they might give him a better deal. But like, I mean, it's a lot of money. He won't get anything from her. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message.
Certainly is going to be expensive because we all know that Ethan has the best lawyers on this that are very expensive. That's certainly going to get over 200K. So we're looking at a six-figure amount. That's going to be a lot for Frogan, for someone who's constantly begging for money and saying she's broke. So what do I think the strategy is? I think it's to declare personal bankruptcy. I think the strategy all along has been to deplete these funds. So even if Ethan Klein wins, she can say, hey, that fund is empty. I already drained that fund. So you can't get anything
So she already ate all the hamburgers, so Ethan can't get any hamburgers out of her because they're all gone.
That wouldn't work because you would just simply hold her in contempt of court for not paying the money, and then you'd start leveraging her liens from any of her financial sources that she has to declare. Because she has to declare them as a point of purchase for the lawsuit. That wouldn't work. Legally, with taxes, it would. Not when it comes to damages between a party that must be paid, or she's going to default again.
I mean, $40,000 of hamburgers? There's no way.
Or rather not default, but be held in contempt of court. And then get sued and fined harder because she couldn't pay. She can't risk it.
That's an insane amount of money.
And I am personally broke. She will declare bankruptcy after the judgment. So hey, you're not going to get anything from me. So I think that's her strategy. Now, that doesn't always work out. In some cases, there can still be liability attached, and that's going to be up for Ethan Klein to figure out that and fight that battle. But I think that's going to be her strategy in all of this. But without a doubt, we can say that Frogan ate it all. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will catch you on the next one.
Wow. Oh.
So, there's Frogan's lawsuit. It's not going well for her. It's ended, in fact. Her journey is over. She's going to the great beyond. The great beyond the bathroom. And I can only pray. I can only pray for times like these. I can only pray for times like these, okay? I pray for times like these. I love for times like these. I love the time. I love the way. I love every bit of it. Because it's nothing but the worst behavior possible. It's nothing but the worst behavior possible. So I love what would happen next. Whatever happens next is going to be crazy and good. But, you know, we got to find out down the road. So, that's number one. Number two. Anybody watch The Boys? The Boys finale came and went. Nobody watched The Boys. The Boys. The Boys. Nobody watched The Boys. Did anyone care to watch The Boys whatsoever? The Boys was never good? No, that's not true. It was good for exactly one season, and then it went to shit. Exactly one season. One season. The first season. And then it went to shit.
Oh, this is the one finale that, unlike Stranger Things and Game of Thrones and all this other stuff, people are mad, but they can't even blame it on plot holes. They have to admit they just don't like being made fun of. They don't like blah, blah, blah. And there's this. And I was like, wow, this is the one you choose to say that about? It's just nonsense throughout the entire thing.
Even with me playing catch up, I was like, there is so many fucking questions about what's going on here that just makes no sense.
I get bored watching them nerf the shit out of Homelander whenever it's time for him to lose. I already knew that was going to happen ultimately. But, like, what is the premise of this show if we strip it down to very, very specific basics and we don't even include the specific character motivations, right? It's like, evil Superman. Okay, yeah, why is that scary? It's like, well, if a guy has the powers of Superman, but also doesn't care about anyone but himself and has the power to do whatever he wants. Like, that's kind of scary. It's like, but so is it game over? It's like, well, you can't be everywhere all at once. Maybe he doesn't want to destroy the whole world. And so if a group of guys had the intention of killing him and his team of evil superheroes, how would they do it? And you start watching the first season, and the first episode gives you an insight of like, well, there was this dude called Translucent, had like a invisibility power, and he had a shell around him that made him borderline invulnerable, but they eventually shoved fucking C4 up his ass and blew him from inside out, exploded him. And you're like, oh shit, you know, and there's an effort for that over the course of the first 2 episodes, and it's like, oh, is that the show? We're gonna have to like gradually get through all of these like demonic versions of heroes you're familiar with, like the Flash or fucking Batman or whatever have you, but it's all these like horrible versions, and maybe do some other storytelling along the way until we finally at the end of the show get to Homelander and we put everything we've learned and known to defeat him in a very hard fought battle. And it's like, no, we're going to invent at some point that there's just an ability to take powers away from people, and then he's going to beg for his life, suck cock, eat shit, and die.
And that's the show. Add in some contemporary politics, add in insults to conservatives, add in insults to Bible Belt people who live in my state and states like Texas and shit like that. Add in jokes, add in characters, add in scatology, add in shit jokes, poop jokes, dick jokes, fart jokes, and the Reddit atheist level of Rick and Mortyisms per the era of Wubba Lubba Dub Dub and I want my Szechuan sauce as possible. And that is The Boys. Sursa, episode 2 to the finale. That shit. That shit. Hoo-wee. Where to start? Where to begin? But at least we have Homelander memes, guys. That's true. Anthony Starr is such a good actor. He's so good at portraying Homelander. He's so good at portraying the different ways that he acts and behaves. It's so based. It's so based. Based. But it's tarnished, you know? A good productive bunch of apples from a bad tree with horrible roots. And its juice is poison. And the pulp gives you skin lesions. And the bark is covered in termites. And they all have Lyme disease. Never cared for superheroes because they're just supervillains? Only if you eat me, Carl. But that's everything to the show. The show is, I saw something happen to Trump. I'm going to make Homelander Trump. Then I'm going to make Victoria Newman into an AOC light. Because I can't do Victor Newman. I have to do Victoria Newman. And I'm going to make her a super character. I'm going to give her powers. And then I'm going to remove her in the most anticlimactic way possible. With a character then getting superpowers. Instead of doing the actual plot that was intended. I'm going to remix the story in a way that isn't what the cover has in the books. With all the other shit that they're along with. I'm going to do all of these things and more to this material. To make it clear that I hate conservatives. I hate conservatives. I hate conservatives. And then for like fun, both one child and another dragging somebody down, putting some occult symbols on them so you can track them, and just watching how they choose to navigate this conversation about how you can antagonize right-wingers, but when right-wingers don't accept your straw man of who they are, and they instead find things redeemable in that character that make sense and are good arguments, you're more worried about the place where the argument came from, whether or not they're bad faith, and whether or not they actually believe what it is they're saying. What do you think about it? It's a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit. It's really bad. A lot of character actors that went on that show. A lot of somewhat decent arguments of character actors. And it's just it's just not good. It's not good. Mainstream entertainment is just reaching lower and lower levels of embarrassment. True. I will say, despite everything the guy playing Homelander put the show on his back. True. I like all the people complaining of comparing Homelander acting pathetic in the presence of death to Trump, who fucking stands up and pumps his fist yelling, "Fight," with an active shooter still in the air. True. Also, Deep should have lived because I thought it was funny. I guess. A lot of shit. And Homelander is eating it on the White House front lawn. It's also tiresome. It is. Ultimately, it's just everything wrong with modern television wrapped up into a show. And it's just bad. And you gotta cut it out like an excising wound.
Yeah, because I was kind of, again, I was having to play catch up with this. So, like, Soldier Boy had the ability to, like, shoot a kind of beam out of himself, a beam of energy that would, like, nuke any superhuman that's caught in its blast radius, right? It would, like, remove your powers, basically. Because you'd been exposed to some kind of radiation that gave him that ability. And so they transplant that into Kimiko, and she can do it if she gets really angry. And so they test it on, like, what the fuck is her name again? The woman who's, like, the smartest person on the planet.
Sister Sage.
Sister Sage.
Yeah, Sister Sage.
Sage and Onion. Yeah.
So she just gets blasted with it and immediately becomes retarded, and then that's her. Like, she's quite happy with that. So she goes off to Harry Potter land or whatever. And
she's supposed to be like the key to getting that plot even to work. So the whole thing they've got is just stick Kimiko in a room and blast her with the radiation. But they didn't know the exact precise dose, and it took the Russians ages to fiddle with a dial.
Well, you see, that's part of the argument on the ending of the show that's so fucking stupid. So Sage goes along with the plan, who preserve their intelligence, and they say the Russians only figured this out over years of constantly testing and testing and testing with the radioactive isotopes to create the ability for him to create the blast that both can kill people and extract and burn the compound V that's in their blood. And Sage goes along with it because she has this long penchant of wanting to have the ability to be fucking retarded and stupid and dumb. And knowing how to do it has to do with having a smart person that can do the calculations. So, if she does the calculations beforehand, then it's fine. She just gets the wish that she wants, and she gets to fuck off to her happily ever after without the burden of being the smartest person in the world. But I'm gonna let the little platoon finish.
I guess, and get the precise right dose. So she sort of almost helps them out with it. I just remember thinking it's quite funny. Like she's being blasted with radiation, and 2 seconds later they open the door, and then someone goes in and just carries her out of the room. So you're going to die if you keep doing it. Not her. She's fine. You, person who is not a superhero, should not be entering a fucking radioactive room, carrying out an irradiated person every 2 seconds. But they seem to forget how radiation works. But she sort of helps them get ultimately this thing to work at the cost of Frenchie's life, and then Kimiko gets this power, uses it on Sister Sage, and she becomes. Well, the show seems to think this is the moment at which Sister Sage becomes dumb, but she's been dumb all the way through.
Well, I think she's an example, I suppose, of a smart character written by dumb people. Like, they think that she's smart, but what she does
No. When we meet her house is full of books. So.
Oh, well, that means she's, like, clearly intelligent.
I'm pretty sure books are smart things. I think that's what smart people do.
I mean, because the radiation thing, just they play fast and loose with that. Like, they're like, at one point, Huey's got a Geiger counter, and he's, like, just scanning Kimiko, and he's like, well, yeah, we're all absorbing large amounts of radiation, but never mind. Anyway, moving on. Like, that...
It's one of those things where you're not expected to think about it too hard. Despite the fact that, oh, come on, bro, it's just a game, it's just the world's universe. You're just not immersing yourself in the show, and you're actively choosing to be dumb. It makes perfect sense in the lore, and it's not good. It's just not good. We can forget the concept of following the book accurately. Nobody cares if they follow the original work to the letter. What's wild is that you have a smart, dumb nigga. That's the problem. And I don't say that because the character's black, but because that's what you traded. You made a smart, dumb nigga. You made a smart, dumb nigga that doesn't have the ability to understand and pay attention to things. You make her into such an anchor of a character that's supposed to carry the television show, and every single scene she has is bad. Thank you, Boster, for the $50. It's bad. She's bad. Her scenes, her lines are bad. Her takes are bad. Her interest is bad. Her fucking additions is bad. Every scene she's in. Every scene she's in. Every scene she's in. She doesn't do anything good for it. And she gets to get away with it. That's also a net caveat. She also gets to get away with it. That's cool. Sitting here in my anger. It's just nasty. I'm so happy I did not watch this show. Because I'm just so depressed thinking about what you guys had to go through.
That seems like it's really going to kill you. Or give you cancer or something. But...
However, I will say, the problem with the characters is that they don't know how to write people that are real people. This show was, we're going to mock conservatives and say that these strawmen are you. And it is the case that when it comes to the strawmen, like that creator, whose name's escaping me, when they're thinking about A-Train and how they want to write his storyline, it was all about making a caricature of what a black superhero should be. Especially when they did the Kwanzaa color shit. Then, you write the character to have an about face and a turn. To try and redeem them and say, haha, see, they lived their standards and means. They stopped being just showboater. They learned how to put other people first. They learned to buy things for people that they knew they would enjoy. And then he goes out on a high note, because then he faces Homelander. And he doesn't lie to his face and beg him for mercy. He just mocks him incessantly. That level of fucking superpower, and then everyone clapped shit. That level is exactly the level that people do not reverberate at. 100%.
Don't you want to do something? Nah, it's fine. Don't worry. It's like, okay, sure.
I think the frustration as well. Oh, sorry.
No, after you.
I was going to say, I think the frustration with a lot of fans is that season 3 and 4 clocked more views than the previous seasons of The Boys. So the biggest question is, why am Amazon pumping more money into this than Rings of Power? And then what you get basically is what you got in this final season.
Well, it's I guess from their perspective, like The Boys is the closest thing they've got to like a mainstream cultural breakthrough. You know, season 1 really did make an impact, and so
it did, and then it became dog shit, and then it lost its cultural relevance.
You know, unlike Rings of Power, which was just like a laughingstock immediately. Season 1 of The Boys, I still hold that up as being really fucking good TV. I liked it. I liked the characters. I liked what they were doing. It's subversive in a good way at the time. Season 2, there was a bit of a drop off in terms of writing quality, and I think you could see how it was becoming much more on the nose politically. But okay, fine, you can still put up with it. By season 3, I was just like getting so fucking bored with it, and yeah, like I don't know, I noped out at that point. It wore me down. I think it was all the like. Not debauchery, but just like it's toilet humor of like the worst variety, where it's like, okay, how many dicks can we see explode? How many like gory moments can we have? And it's not even entertaining after a certain point. It's just exhausting.
Yeah, like how many times do you see the guy with the giant extendable penis floating around? So I've seen that so many times. It's like it was kind of half funny once, and now it isn't.
Yeah. So probably the reason why is the earlier in the show you go, the more close to the source material it is. They get further away as you go along. And the great irony is that so they turn Black Noir into a completely different character. In the comic, he is actually a clone of Homelander. He's a deranged clone that is used as a contingency plan. So there's almost like a message in there that you can only replace evil with greater evil. The whole thing is really, it was actually a relatively smart deconstruction in the comic form. And then they just started going very political, current political, I should say, with the route. And it just, to the point where this is completely made up. This ending has nothing to do with anything. And that's so not only will people who enjoyed the books be completely upset, it also, like Mahler said, there's no payoff for what was even set up early on.
This one pissed me off as well, actually. Frenchie's just like, saying he saw everyone's butthole. It's like, again, it labors the joke so fucking long. It's like, okay, this guy's just passed away. Like, can you not even have a funeral scene and just give us a little, like, genuine, poignant moment? It's like, nah.
Yeah. Are they making fun of French people being voyeurs and into a-holes? And that's what you read at the eulogy. Poor Huey. Then you have to do a better version at the end for the other people.
What it would feel like is like that would be a one-line gag. Like, okay, he injects a tiny little bit of humor to add a bit of levity to a really solemn situation, but then the bulk of his note is actually serious. You know, and they could have done that. They didn't. They kept this unfunny gag going way too long, and I don't know. It just feels emblematic of so much of the humor that I saw in this episode and this show, where it's just what's the most base, like simplistic bit of toilet humor or whatever we can throw in there. What is the name of like the sort of chief of staff in the White House? I can't remember the fucking character's name. The girl who rips her hair out all the time and she's like psychic one.
Ashley.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, and like. Again, like every piece of her dialogue is like calling someone a cunt or like making clit jokes or like he's gonna rip my tits out through my vag, and I'm like, what human talks like this? It's not even
sort of,
funny.
even Butcher has that problem, like having become really just like this flanderized version of himself. He was like one of the more interesting elements of season 1 in particular, and you can sort of see they sort of kept going even the way through the bad seasons, basically 2 onwards. Is that you're still setting him up to be like the antithesis, but also the same, the mirror to Homelander. And the lengths he's prepared to go to get his extreme vengeance that he's motivated to. The show sort of at some point just kind of it bakes this in and stops trying to do anything with it and just reduces him to this vaguely cockney swear machine, and makes one of its more interesting dynamic components kind of redundant. But that's basically true of every character. Like, as soon as you start looking at one character and saying you're just a flanderized parody version of your season 1 self, then you look at another character, the same thing happens. And it is sort of brought out in that funeral scene. It's used as the butt of a joke because, of course, you can joke about the death of one of your long-standing characters if you don't care about them. And Kripke doesn't really care about these characters. He doesn't really care about the show as a show. His ambitions for storytelling, if he ever had them, disappeared roughly by like midway through season 2. I think one of the writers on season 1 was not brought back as well, and had some very good credits to his name. And ever since then, it's just become like, how can I contrive a way for these characters to tell this extremely current day joke, which is going to date terribly and quite often will break the show. So there's a bit it is in the finale episode, right, where the richest guy in the world comes, and he's the richest guy in the world, he's a tech billionaire, and he's an amateur astronaut, and he wants to go to space and wears a black hat. And it's like, okay, we're doing Elon. What clever thing can we do with Elon? Homelander whisks him away up to space in 3 seconds. So it's like, right, that's lazy as fuck. But you realize what you've done now, don't you? That means you can't trap Homelander in a room with people because you've established he can go basically 250,000 kilometers a second. You can't do this. Your joke is breaking your power scaling, your joke is breaking your plot, and yet he did it without thought for what it would mean for the later fight scene. And so, of course, later when the fight scene happens, he gets trapped in a room because he can't move that quickly anymore.
Are you referencing power scaling there, Platoon? I've heard that no one cares about that at all.
Can we talk about
you're an embarrassment?
Can we talk about the Deep as well? How he just like he's again supposed to be super powered. He's incredibly durable, very difficult to hurt normally. He just gets skull fucked by an octopus, I guess, and dies.
So
that's his end.
2 halves to that conversation are: one, why do you care? Which is obviously really fucking useless and annoying. The other half is actually he died the same way Translucent did. The octopus got inside him and killed him, and that's how you can kill all these soups. And I was like, oh,
no,
talk about fucking media.
No, it's not media literacy there. The difference is that the pay up, the build up, and the actual fucking arrival of what they used as the way to get there is kind of like what people are expecting to happen with Invincible. Because Invincible is another television show that has this problem. You have an argument about characters and money legitimately being used on the fucking voice actors, celebrity voice actors, instead of getting used on the drama in space. Oh my god, it's so fucking hot!
Illiteracy. Translucent wasn't a super duper creature inside, only the shell outside and allowed him to be invisible. The Deep went to the Mariana Trench. He cannot be squishy on the inside with a shell. He'd be dead. He has to be incredibly durable throughout the whole. I hate to put it this way, but the boys, fucking Eric Kripke would love me putting it this way. His anus would be fucking the tightest, tighter than a vault. Like, it would be the most incredibly. An octopus has no chance. And then, of course,
against that anus.
The weird thing as well is he's got Aquaman powers. He can like super speed swim.
That's what I was going to say as well. Like, why is he
a moron
floundering around, like trying to swim like a regular human? I thought he could, like glide through the water. But yeah,
so again, nothing makes sense with what they've told us throughout this whole show, and it's just like, oh, it's just power scaling shit. Who cares? They're all dead. And you're like, nothing means anything then. Why should I care?
Yep.
Yeah, like why can't a regular person just like blast a fucking atomic bomb from their eyes or something? Like, if we don't care about power scaling anymore.
People were asking if the octopus had V. I don't think the octopus had V.
I mean,
because
just to go back to that,
told several times, and I'm sure everyone here has been told, and everyone who's ever talked about The Boys will have been told this many times. It's like, you just don't like it because it's making fun of a politician you like. It's like, but I seem to be
correct, and that then becomes the rebuttal. Ah, you don't like it because you're just a political hack. You're a political shell, and you don't like being criticized. Your content is being exposed for the fact that you don't want to listen to me make the same fucking accusation multiple times over.
Doing a bit more media analysis than you are in this situation. But I actually want, again, absolutely fine for you to kill Homelander in any way you've written to justify. But I can't see him go to space in 3 seconds and then see him flying at 2 meters a second when he goes in the final fight scene. That just breaks my immersion. I know he can escape this, and the show is lying to me when it tells me that he can't. Well, I'm trying to judge this as a work of art first and foremost. I don't really care if it tells jokes about any politician. I know.
I mean, something I find weird, right? Because they're hell bent on humiliation. So, we'll take Homer's powers away from him and make him cry. That's so humiliating. It's like, this reminds me of the I'm the best card player ever. I'm a badass like cowboy type in some game or film because I cheat and other people don't know. I'm always like, doesn't that undermine that? Doesn't it undermine the humiliation of Homelander that you couldn't defeat him while he had his powers? Like, he was impossible. You couldn't find a way to defeat him in a way that like outsmarted him, or you used teamwork, for lack of a better classic way of putting it. I wouldn't even mind getting the powers out of the picture eventually, but to not be able to defeat him ever while he had his powers, like. The season 3 episode, they came close, and I thought that was just a setup. It's like, yeah, we just need enough people in the right way. They need to counter the flight. That's the main thing.
I mean,
it's like the old.
I feel as.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say as well. I feel this. this isn't how Homelander would behave if you took his powers away. Like, if he was in front of Butcher with his powers removed, I think he would just know that he's fucked. Like, he's going to be killed. And there's no amount of begging. There's nothing he can offer him that's going to stop that from happening. I think even he would realize that immediately. So what is even the point of that pathetic, like, begging and whimpering?
You know what it is. It's the fantasy.
I know exactly what it is, yeah. And I guess... yeah, I suppose I should bring up the quote, actually, because I think this made me sad in a way of, like, there's actors in this show who are doing a way better job than the fucking writers. Where it's Eric Kripke talking about Anthony Starr and his portrayal of Homelander. He said Starr's goal was never to create Homelander as a Donald Trump parody. Well, clearly, Kripke wouldn't have liked that, I guess. But I totally understand Ant's point of view. He's like, I'm not doing a caricature. I'm trying to create a character with a consistent internal life. Imagine that. Imagine an actor who just wants to play a character with an understandable personality and motivations. He says, and I absolutely agree and respect that, Kripke says, so we'll just work on purely internal logic and character motivation. Lies. And we won't bring Trump into it all that much. Well, that's a lie.
Well, the thing is, Anthony Starr was just sneaking in character, basically, throughout this whole show.
This was him carrying the show on his shoulders, like him and Carl Urban. But it's just like, when your actors are having to work against the writers to try and, like, preserve some semblance of character motivation and make it somewhat, like, understandable and believable, you got problems. And, yeah, I hate to say it, this fucking guy, just every interview, everything he talks about, it always comes back to Trump. It's like, that is probably the first thing he thinks about when he wakes up in the morning and the last thing he thinks about before he goes to sleep at night.
Well, we got
it's his obsession.
A new contender for man who hates the internet more than everybody else. 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. The Homelander begging meme is one of the great things, though. The memes, Homelander begging memes have been glorious, absolute cinema. I've seen too many examples of him getting close to suck a penis because they edit it to have Anthony Starr's mouth open and he's getting gaped open. I'm not going to repost where I saw it from. If you've seen it on Twitter, you saw it. So, The Voice is dog shit. And what a horrible example for that to be done. Just so, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. And now I gotta remember to hike myself over again, because then I'm gonna see the same shit in the Vampire Lestat. Now the only things I have left are my favorites and early access patch notes, but I can feel the hot all over my body. So let me step out the room for a second. So much better. Fucking Lord of mercy. I don't want to say there's something wrong with the AC. Because Lord knows I don't have the money to get it fixed. Ow. Alright. Get back up. I'm looking forward to the Vampire Lestat so that you and Jake can make fun of it. The only reason I have any hype for that show anymore is to watch the two of you tear it apart. Well, I expect payment for you enjoying my pain from the pleasure. It's gonna fucking suck every second that it's happening. I've seen too many credit rolls of examples of the fucking teasers and sizzlers that they've been putting out there. It's really bad. Like Lestat admits that he was having sex with his mother. Bad. Oh. Happy for the overpriced VA since the get-go. Well, you heard me. There's a scene where he gets confronted about the fact that Lestat has been having sex with his mother. Because since they're in the current year period with Vampire Lestat, they don't got to do any of that interview with the vampire bullshit. Granted, they still have to quote from the book. But, you know they like to do embellishments. And one of those embellishments basically involves Lestat turning into Christian. Yeah. 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 Carl, be serious to make sure the show doesn't break you. Oh no. The show's opportunity to break me was season 1. And I already had that crash out, okay? It's going to be the case that that if something fucking happens, I'm going to turn to Jay. I'm going to be like, Lauren, turn this fucking shit off. No! I'm going to look her dead in her fucking soul on the fucking webcam. I'm going to tell her, turn the shit the fuck off. We need to pause. We need a break. I've had enough. Because I'm not gonna put on the persona, okay? After that, I'm not gonna put on the persona. No. I'm gonna entertain, but you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear. And put some fucking earbuds on. You're in public. You're gonna hear some opinions. Yeah, you're gonna hear some shit. It's gonna be a whole brand new me. But anyways, we have now arrived at the part that is me going back through my favorites and addressing some things. So let me do some of that. Recoat Burst Angel about the Arthur's barely disguised fetish, but if this is their fetish, no. I don't think it's a fetish. I think they're doing it to get some attention. So, I'm putting patch notes behind the TikTok reels. So let's go through these reels. Let's see how many I can go through before I can possibly shoot myself in the face. We haven't done this in a while. It's mostly because, like I said earlier, when some of you weren't here, I need to go through my shorts, and I need to start posting my shorts. Because I've been recording shorts, but I just haven't been posting them. Because I've been dealing with my job. So let's see here. This right here.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Them words, sweat equity, are gonna keep a lot of people out of trouble. Sure, you could argue the ethics of it, the ethics of how government put people in the street or whatever, but everybody who's thinking about doing something dumb today, think about the word sweat equity. You will pay back to the state instead of dying. Because I know one thing about me. I'm not paying back shit with no sweat equity. Oh, Lord, have mercy. No, I am not. And I am sure that lesson will resonate on someone else's words. So sure, or mine, sorry. So sure, you know, is it wrong? Yeah. Is it the reality? Yeah. Is it going to hopefully change some people's minds about, yo, don't get out here doing something stupid? Yeah. Because, yo, while we can sit here and have the theological, sociological debates on sweat equity, let's be real. It is a thing out here. And if you're out here doing bullshit, hey, man, get ready to pay with buckets of sweat breaking rocks for the next 50 years. Because, shit, that's all you got coming your way.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to lie.
So, this person's post is in relevance to a case where one of the 5 defendants who murdered a man, murdered him over some gang shit. They all got charged, convicted, and sentenced. And a part of the sentencing reading was hearing the post from the attorney talk about what's going to happen to him and how he will pay back sweat equity to the state and how they're going to work it. So, there's a guy called Fulio. And this is what happened when they're hearing about this user.
Based on Mr. Gathwright's age, physical abilities, things like that, do you think that the prison would benefit from him in a work capacity if he were sentenced to life without parole?
I say yes, with my experience, not only just in classification, but as former warden and even as a jail administrator. He's someone that's young, he's healthy. In reality, we need that labor, we need that sweat equity, and we will put him out there to work because we do have an aging prison population, jail administration. We have that, so we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
And I know we talk about life without parole and death row, but for our jurors' education, in Florida, what does a life sentence without parole mean?
A life sentence in the Florida Department of Corrections means from the minute they're brought in, they're assigned an inmate number. He will be assigned an inmate number, and when he dies and leaves in a body bag, he will still have that inmate number. An inmate serving life will never, ever get out. There is no parole in the state of Florida, and they're not ever allowed outside the razor wire and the fence of a secure facility.
So the only way that an inmate serving life without parole would leave is when they die by natural causes. Based on Mr. Gathwright's age...
So, here's the rub. People heard this term sweat equity. And what it means is, if you do crimes, you will die in a box. That's what it means. I'm going to make it simple for you as an ex-Fed. It's a lot simpler than stop breaking the law, asshole. It means you're mine now. That's what it means. So, if you go through the comments on posts that are talking about the sweat equity, the part that they're going to leave out is that this guy murdered someone. Look at this comment here. This is exactly why they false imprison black men. And then 40 years later say, oops, we made a mistake. Here's $10 million in exchange for your sweat equity. No. This guy didn't get accused of rape by a white girl who then, years after she destroyed his high school varsity career going full pro, that after 20 years of fucking having his name ruined, he had to live with life ruination from a white girl who couldn't say, yes, daddy, I love big black cocks. I love getting in front of all the men and servicing them and feeling like an attention whore as they treat me as a little whore. No, this nigga killed a man with 4 other people. He murdered someone. There is no parole in the state of Florida. You will go into prison and you will come out of the prison in a box. He did that shit. They caught him. He's going to jail for the rest of his life. That's what's supposed to happen. Oh, it's slavery, legal slavery, legal slavery. You can't do this. Remember when we were covering that response post? One of many that we've covered from Leadhead. Remember when Leadhead was making that as an argumentation in the middle of that content about places, literally the state over in Alabama, and even a couple of places here in Georgia, where, oh my God, look at these people and how you're using them for sweat equity. But we're talking about people who they can get parole, and they're safe enough to be around people, and they're not a threat to themselves or others to the point that they want to be not recidivistic, get out of prison, and one day be able to live a life. So they're working a job to secure money, to have a financial foundation upon which they can turn their life around when they leave. For some of those people, maybe it could have been over something like murder. This motherfucker, he didn't have to kill anybody. So yeah, they're going to work his ass. It's exactly the same thing when before they changed to having city workers use the new methodology of picking up the trash. That they already did sweat equity. Sweat equity's been in your life since forever. But that doesn't mean it's okay, Carl! You don't know what the fuck you're reacting to if you're knee-jerk reacting to this. If you've never seen this, you're innocent. You ain't do nothing. If you're reacting to that and you're like, what the fuck? How the fuck can you be okay with that? Because you've already had it. Every time your parents told you, oh, you're going to act out, go do your fucking chores. Go take out the trash. That was sweat equity. Every time you had to work for a living to eat food, that was sweat equity. Now, you can try to call it slavery by any other word, but there are levels to this shit. And this is when you are a number to the state. Not a name, but a number. You don't want to be here? Stop doing crimes! Moving forward.
I'm not gonna lie.
What else did I have here? Here we go. Mixtape discussions.
Mixtape is ruining the gaming industry. I feel like that's a little drastic to say. It's barely a game. There's like an hour of gameplay, and it got a 10 out of 10 across the board. Okay, that is actually problematic. The fact that it's only an hour of gameplay, there's no way that it could be a 10 out of 10 and only an hour of gameplay. That makes no goddamn sense. Okay, I'm with you. Explain. What's going on? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a scenario, right? Let's say you're on Game Pass, because you got Xbox, right? And sometimes Game Pass shows you old-ass games like they're new and new-ass games like they're old, right? So you see Mixtape pop up, you're like, okay, whatever. I'm bored. I got some time to kill. I need a new game. You start playing.
Pause. Something that's very important here. Because I haven't covered the Ana Piranha shit. The TLDR, millionaire's daughter, forces her hand on company in protest over nearly 100, but it's close to like 95% of the original Ana Piranha staff leaves. With control over company, millions of dollar antique shilling hierarchy bassist reporter and or viewer brings up the fact that her father is a donator to the state of Israel and that this is effectively propaganda that she paid for. There is no way that on a price pool for a standard edition on $20 that they are making their money back or that they should be considered a small indie company. Because they're not indie. That product is the result of an obvious fucking AstroTurf. So rest assured with the trust and understanding that that money is not going to come back in dividends. No matter how many times they tell you that people have done more things with fries. It is the case that people made a whole bunch of air about nothing the same way they did with Pragmata. And I am super good on teenage tongue wagging. Thanks. Don't want it.
A mixtape. You finish mixtape in like an hour, maybe 45 minutes, right? Super short game. Okay. And I'm not seeing the... Okay, so the 10 out of 10 is the issue, right? Kinda. Only kinda. So the real issue is that the game is barely a game. Seriously, there's like an hour of gameplay. And it's fun, and it's cute, and it looks pretty, and it sounds nice. But there's something coming. Okay, have you ever played Guardians of the Galaxy? And you remember when you're in Peter Quill's house, just walking around, picking up old CDs and shit? Yeah, dude, I love those sections. Okay, so imagine if those sections were all spliced together and they made that a video game. Oh, dude, no. I mean, like, that sounds cute and homey and shit, but that's not enough. And the thing is, the game's cute, bro. It's a cute little fun game. It's like an hour long. If they didn't give it a 10 out of 10, no one would have an issue with it, right? Because people are making dissertations about this game that are longer than the game. Yeah, I don't get that either. So, like, wouldn't people just get mad?
And ironically, that's not a dig at Mahler. That's how many people have noticed the bullshit happening with Annapurna Interactive and the fucking shill state that they're currently putting itself into by claiming that the people who didn't play it, didn't like it, didn't watch it, didn't understand it, and are shills. Or grifters.
At the game reviewers? Yes and no. So it's kind of like two things can be true at once, right? Okay, so Mixtape can be a cute little fun game, right? But it's being pushed as a game from a small dev studio, which it is not a small dev studio. Also, that small dev studio was backed by the entire Australian government. Okay, so that's definitely not a small game studio, right? So not only that, right, it's clear that they are paying for good reviews. And it's that in itself is an issue, but it's also the fact that there is clearly across the board gaming review places that let you, and it seems like they make you pay for a good review. You know what, dude, that makes a lot of sense because when
it's also the fact that Annapurna is able to secure music rights in perpetuity. No studio that has the money to accrue the licenses in perpetuity for highly expensive golden oldies at this point, songs from the era of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, has the ability to have that kind of infrastructure and cash and still say, listen, bro, we're a small indie company, we're just like Slay the Spire 2, we're just like Solcesto, we're just like Velatro, love us, guys, come on, we're just like Nugenics, guys, come on. You can't do that. There's no world. There's no world. There's no world. There's no world.
Dragon Age Veilguard came out, it had 10s across the board, and I played that game, and it was not a fucking 10 out of 10 game at all. It was still fun for sure, but like, that wasn't even the best Dragon Age game in the series, so you're not about to tell me that was the only Dragon Age game that's like a 10 out of 10. No, fuck, no shot. Exactly, dude. So it's less about the game itself and more so about the gaming culture, but it is also about the game. Right? Because how corrupt are game reviewers that an hour-long game that's barely a game gets a 10 out of 10 across the board, and then Mouse Cop gets a 6 out of 10 because there's too much cheese and too many mouse jokes. Mixtape is ruining the gaming industry. I feel like that's a little dry.
So, that's the long and short of Annapurna and Mixtape. I don't think I'm going to choose to get into that drama. Because what else is there to say that isn't pretty fucking obvious to any person with a goddamn system of eyes? Tulsi Gabbard will be leaving the administration on June 30th as Secretary of Defense. Interesting. Thank you, DevCord, for tagging me in that. I guess. Alright. What else I got in here? What else do I have in here? I'm trying to find this shit, what I have in here. I think there's some things in here that I just recorded for the purposes of, like, they're funny. I think this one I was going to respond to.
Genuine question for the eaters. Sit or hover? And is there a weight limit?
beware the succubus who looks for male attention. But to answer the question, that's a trick question. If I'm doing my job right, you can't go nowhere. You won't have the leg strength to hover. You're just going to have to sit on my face at that point. And if I'm doing my job, I'm going to drown. And that's just what it is. Next one. This one I don't even have to look at. It was basically a goth mime. But she's really good with her puppet. And then this one.
You assured us that these policies were perfectly safe. See, Loudoun County, Virginia, a trans student was allowed into the women's bathroom where he assaulted a girl. They moved him to another school where he did it again. See, Irvine, California last month, where a trans student entered the women's locker room and flashed the...
Fuck.
You assured us that these policies were perfectly safe. See, Loudoun County, Virginia, a trans student was allowed into the women's bathroom where he assaulted a girl. They moved him to another school where he did it again. See, Irvine happened again in Gwinnett County, Georgia. This happened again in Oklahoma City. This happened again in Ohio, where a trans man was allowed to use the locker room where he was arrested for flashing little girls. The judge dropped the charges after he ruled that this man was too fat for them to see anything. In this city, a man using they-them pronouns hunted down and killed a female jogger because he, quote, wanted to look just like her. You will no longer be able to look into the eyes of your constituents and honestly say that you are unaware of the assaults that inevitably take place when we declare to women you have no right to privacy. You assured us that these policies were...
This one hits close because I know several people who have been directly affected by this. Because, of course, I have friends across all spectrums and some of them are transgender, including Sophia Norwitz. Because people are so happy to go transgender hunting, damn, it's still so fucking hot. This one cuts close because it is the case that this is one of the opportunities where a person laid it out completely, that they can't say the thing that doesn't happen didn't happen when actually it happened again, and 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 it happened again. It just is a downer, but it's got to be shown because that's the level that we're at, where they have to go to the court meetings in order to have their argument placed on record, especially in front of us, an attendant or a state legislature of the board. Okay, next. Not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. Not this one. Not this one. I want to say that one. I don't know. Ah, here it is.
You know, being black in America isn't difficult because of white people and systemic racism anymore. It's because of other black people. A couple of days ago, there was a shooting over in Edmond, Oklahoma at Arcadia Lake. For those that aren't familiar with the geography, OKC is like right here in the upper middle of the state, right? About an hour north, not even, is Edmond. And then a little ways north of that is Arcadia Lake. Edmond is like a really well-to-do area of Oklahoma. Real fancy, real new, good schools, good roads, great parks, amazing food. Edmond is a nice community, and it was racked with tragedy a few days ago by a mass shooting event in Arcadia Lake. An argument broke out at a party. A bunch of youngsters, I don't know if they were colleges or high schoolers, whatever, but an argument broke out and somebody decided that a Glock with a switch was the appropriate response in a crowded area. 22 casualties.
And then he upped that pole. He looking at everybody. I'm looking at everybody. He didn't let them know. He shot it at everybody. He shot it at everybody. This bro let go. He just let go.
One of which succumbed to her injuries in the hospital. So we've got one death associated with this. KCCO dropped the press release of the cops covering and giving the community updates. I saw the name in the comments. I already knew. Somebody done put the face in the comments. You didn't have to tell me, bro. And then I saw the rest of the comments. Fatigued, fatigued, fatigued. I can't get mad at them. They're not being racist. Shit, I'm fatigued too. Homie, all of our African lineage, the birthplace of humanity, the cradle of human life, all of our African American culture, all of our contributions, our achievements. You piss on all of that excellence, all of that dignity, all of that creation. Every single time y'all commit one of these grievous acts of violence, whenever you flood your own communities with poison, when you conduct yourselves like prostitutes at the Houston rodeo, you broke the law, you disappointed your ancestors, you injected trauma into 22 whole bloodlines. I wonder what are going to be the odds of somebody holding a grudge against black people. Can't really say it's unwarranted. Somebody actually physically did something. Now every well-meaning black person in the state of Oklahoma for the next, 6 months?
Longer.
The next couple of years?
Longer.
We're going to have to deal with awkward stares. We're going to have to deal with people assuming our character before interacting with it. We're going to have to deal with fatigued comments. That's not exactly fair. I don't truck with none of that bullshit. Some of us strove to do more with our lives. Some of us just want to be left alone. Some of us just want to build into our communities, eke out an existence for our families, a future even. But that gets much more difficult every single time you got a black person in the news or all across social media acting a damn fool. So what now? We condemn the violence, we put our best foot forward, support the community as we can, and I don't know, hold these guys accountable. No, that's bare minimum, bro. That's bare minimum. Those are automated processes. We need to actually fix the problem at its source, our communities. And those aren't going to get fixed until our families get fixed. They are broken, riddled with spiritual diseases. We need to do something about all these Machiavellian, narcissistic, utilitarian, and exploitative traits that we have allowed to normalize within black culture. It's absolutely insane the levels of disregard for life that have manifested because we allowed television and music to raise our children. We allowed schools and the government to raise our children instead of us. By the by, you're going to find that a lot of your Jesus speak is filtered out in my comments for good reason. If you need religion to be a decent human being, you never were, nor will you ever be a decent human being. All you need for that is compassion, empathy, and an understanding of causality. You know, being black in America isn't difficult because of white
Big true. I'm so tired of the black fatigue narrative. I'm also similarly tired from people saying that I'm not pro-black because I don't know things about particular individuals that I allegedly have never looked into or don't feel interested in, because they're just not worth it. Not worth it whatsoever. Just not worth it. It's just so fucking annoying. It makes conversations impossible. It just makes conversations impossible. Lord have mercy, it's so fucking exhaustive. I hate. This has been a thing for like 10 years now on the internet. Actually, more. It had 3 birthdays. Not relevant. Fucking. God damn, this heat exhaust is getting to me. But I think that's like the 1, 2, 3 things I had from my TikToks I wanted to show. So it's 3 hours at this point. This heat is beating my ass. I'm probably going to bow out and I'll just go over the patch notes in video format. That's what I'll probably do. However, for those of you who haven't seen the thumbnails, join the Discord. Go look at the thumbnails inside of Relaxation Lounge. Those and a couple of other things I have yet to announce, but I will post the dates for, are coming up soon. I am catching up on all the versus chats that I've been planning, that I got to work in years for in the background, okay? They're going to happen very fast and very quickly. So, I've got, at this point, 7 days. Gotta hit it on Monday. I got a trip to 2 on Tuesday. Gotta hit the pole on Wednesday. And then keg on a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Like, and Mark on Sunday. But, I've got to do several things, okay? The first one is going to be Conan Gagnon, okay? We are dealing with what I could find on the Zamanist Consortium. The stream that I wanted to deliver, based on the original material, isn't the content that I'm going to be delivering. What I will be delivering is an entirely different angle. And I'm hoping that one will enjoy it. Because it was certainly more fun for me to look into it. Where's my other sock? And then, got it. All the other ones will be ready. I put up 2 of the thumbnails because, as it was the case that Kano didn't have the ability to go through because his internet fucked on him, I am going to use it as an opportunity to litigate those 2 topics. So Jeremy Hambley didn't get covered on the Yap end. So I'm going to litigate that as its own material broadcast. And then I'm going to cover the other 2 things. And then I think I'm going to do, like, Marvel Rivals. I said to him, one of the users in DevCord, one of the moderators, that I would be down to try the new PvE mode inside of Marvel Rivals. We'll probably do that sometime tonight, tomorrow, and the day after. Because today's what? Thursday? Time is up and down for me. Today is Friday, actually. So, it's another week-ish. PvE. Yes, it does. It's just like the Team Fortress 2 man versus machine mode. There will be opportunities for us to do it. Tonight, tomorrow, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Because I need to do the versus chats on separate days. Because I'm not going to string these things one after another. One of the ones that are going to be coming up. One of the ones that are going to be coming up that I need to make a thumbnail for is obviously the Jillian Michaels debate on Surrounded for Jubilee. I'm going to ask Jay if she wants to come through on that. I know she covered it herself, but I'm going to be doing it my way. I'm going to have Pocket Lit one with me if she wants to come. I would like her to, because I got questions I want to ask. And between those 4 or 5 different things, because, as I told you all and informed you all, medical shit is preventing me from doing events because I am now in the phase of my content where I need to do my physical part of the job, and that involves me physically doing things that takes up time. So, it's gonna be very rapid, okay? Once we get towards Monday, it'll still be slightly more lax. Or rather, it's going to be a lot more focused with like singular things and singular topics, not multi-topic broadcasts. So, the updates tonight, don't they usually do updates on Friday? I don't know. Because I'm not going to be playing for PvP. I'm not going to be playing Marvel Rivals to play Quick Play or Ranked. It's just going to be for the PvE mode. Ouch, my leg. Ouch, my leg. And then, when Mother's health improves, I'd like to get back to starting to plan the next tournament. Because I'm going to make it so that those of you that are competitors in your own games, I'm going to let you have the ability to make your own fucking brackets and compete against each other for money matches. Because these gift cards can't just sit on my desk forever. So y'all are going to have the opportunity to pick the games it is that you want to face people in. And if somebody wants to take that money match, I will shoutcast it. And it will be broadcasted as a part of CGG. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did for the Running of the Hands for Eternal Return. So, Comey Gagnon, Jillian Michaels Surrounded, Jammery Hambly and his oranges, a couple of other broadcasts yet to be announced, and Marvel Rivals PvE in the zombie mode, and the planning of some money match tournaments for community members. All those things and more coming up soon on SinglePlayerCarl. So, it's getting hotter. I need to go put the fucking ice back in the refrigerator. I will see you all later. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Thank you for those of you who chose to put dollars in my hat. It goes towards me not burning alive in a crisp in my own home as we enter into summer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Golf with your friends tournament with Ball Collision. Yes, I'll let you do that. And I'm going to watch you suffer. I'm going to make you all play through it. That'll be funny for me. So, but goodbye. Goodbye. To your mom, to your friends, to your brothers. We're going to see you when we see you, baby. We're going to see you when we see you.